This is the Great Alaska Hunting Podcast. I'm Dalton Gray.
And I'm Mariah Humphreys.
Broadcasting from our hometown of Fairbanks, Alaska. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Great Alaska Hunting Podcast, everybody. My name's Dalton.
I'm Mo.
And we're joined today by a special guest. Nate, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Nate Poling, just a new resident of the state as of about 2 months ago, as officially a year, but
yeah. So
resident status for hunting, I guess.
Poling, is that P-O-E-H?
P-O-L-I-N-G. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I get all of it.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting. So you met Mo and I through your work. People that are in the Fairbanks area are going to recognize you probably very quickly from a local establishment that Mariah and I frequent quite a lot.
I think a lot of the people frequent it, and some of it's due to the limited, source of, outdoor equipment. But yeah, I do. I'm the store manager for the local Sportsman. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's how I got introduced to. I think I met you first, and then
Yeah.
you later on. So
yeah.
Yep.
I remember Mariah calling me and said, "Hey, there's a new manager at Sportsman's and he knows his stuff. You need to go in there and meet this guy."
I've gotten lucky, so I appreciate that. Yeah. I've had some good experience like in my outdoor retail journey kind of after like post-military. So
yeah.
But yeah, happy to be here. It's a unique opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
I like the positioning of the store and having customers like yourselves like and doing this kind of thing, it really helps. So.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it's no secret to our listeners that Mo and I are big fans of the Big Green warehouse store, which stores a lot of our favorite type of stuff. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about Sportsman's, even long before I think you probably even came on the scene there. And I mean, we've always just that's kind of where you go because you guys seem to have a lot of the right stuff. And, no store is going to be perfect and stocking everything, but you can cover a lot of your bases. And it's kind of the greatest place to meet and greet people in August and September because all the hunters are all in the same parking lot.
And from all over the all over the state, all over the country, and even internationally. So yeah, I mean that last week of July, first week of August, I mean, no one's giving up their secrets, but you can pick a lot of so gear, hey, what's your favorite mountain house even? Like, if you're not used to that kind of thing. So it's a good source of intel. And then just cruise the gun counter, you'll find some characters. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Well, I guess just for the sake of folks out there, and I know some of your backstory. I even learned a few new things I didn't even know this evening. But tell us kind of where you came from and where you grew up and how you ended up here, and just kind of the compressed version of where you came from.
Yeah. So long story short, I grew up in Ohio. Southeastern Ohio, the first 22 years of life, all through high school and college. Hunted growing up, like, my father and then, a group of guys that we went to church with. And it was all, muzzleloader shotgun for deer because we weren't a rifle state. So I hadn't even pulled the trigger on a bolt action centerfire until I was 28. I never owned one. Wow. Yeah. And a lot of people were like, well, why are you so into it now? And it was tough, at first because I knew nothing about it. And because we couldn't hunt with them, like there was no reason to own one. And I, prior to joining the Army, I'd never fired a rifle, period. It was always shotgun, muzzleloader, and rimfire, but never a centerfire. So
sure.
That was cool. But graduated college and really didn't have any real direction. And I'd wanted to join the Army for a while. And
did you go to college in Ohio?
Yeah, a small school called Muskingum. It's Presbyterian University, actually. And it was a good time. It was just a way for me to, keep playing football. It was a D3 school, so no scholarship. You're just kind of doing it for the love of the game. And it kept me out of trouble and kept my grades up and, did well there. And
what position did you play in football?
I was a receiver, actually. Like a lot of people were like, you're way too big for that. And I was too slow for it too. But there was kind of a niche thing for our program. Like we were a small school, but we were in, one of the kind of premier D3 divisions. Yeah. At the lower part of it, but it was fun. And we ran the triple option, which was not my favorite, but the opportunity I had, as a freshman even, they were like, hey, this guy's pretty tough. Like, let's see what he can do. So my sophomore year, actually, hey, that linebacker, that's your guy. Like,
Yeah.
and I think I can count on one hand the amount of times I touched the ball in my 4 years there. But, being the tough guy that wasn't afraid to get dirty got me 3 letters. So I was down to do it, but kept me out of trouble for the most part. But,
Yeah, right on.
So,
well, I mean, your trajectory in life could have been totally different if you were actually, pro level at it. You could have grown older and won a few championships and married a pop star.
Or, yeah, like every kid, growing up playing sports, you're like, I'm going to go to the NFL. And like, I'm sure at some point I thought like that, but I noticed very early on, I was like, hey, this is for fun. And it just it let me play a couple more extra years, and it was fun. But now it's like, was it worth getting the CTE now that we know? I think I'm pretty good, but my short-term memory, sometimes I'm like,
I never played football in my life. Well, I mean, a few touch games, but I still struggle with the short-term memory loss thing myself. So
after college, like I said, I joined the Army. I was a military police officer of all things. Like I've always wanted to work law enforcement, so I was like, hey, the Army has cops. So wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but I had a great time. And, luckily enough, I got to meet my wife, and like we were stationed at Fort Campbell, like first together. That's where I met her. She's actually from Michigan. So it was kind of like, I was hesitant to talk to her, but she had a Michigan State shirt on at least. And I was like, I can respect that. So, talked to her, and a month later we got married. It was kind of like,
wow.
Yeah. And people were like, I think it was like 29 days almost.
Wow.
So, but 8 years as of September. So,
wow.
But,
well, congratulations.
Thank you. So we kind of hung out there for 5 years in Tennessee. Didn't get a hunt at all. Like, I think it was more of an excuse for like, I didn't have the time just due to work and shift and all that. And, I'd had my muzzleloader with me, never owned a bow until a couple years ago, but I just didn't have the time to hunt. And, I started watching, of all things, Meat Eater when it started, getting really popular. And I was like, I think I watched every episode that was out, and it's like, man, I want to get back into hunting.
And that would have been in like what year do you think?
18, 19 time frame.
Okay.
Like maybe a little after. I'm not sure.
Like just pre-COVID.
Well, it would have been 19 actually. I was in Korea. Okay. So, being over in Korea by myself for a little over a year because COVID had happened, and I got stuck over there amongst some other things. And so I was kind of just binge watching that, and it's like, man, that hunting elk looks pretty cool. Where can I was looking at duty stations in the Army, and it's like, we were kind of like debating on how long we were going to try to stay in Tennessee. And it was like, well, if we got to go somewhere, it's like, how do you feel about Colorado? Like they got the, largest elk herd in the lower 48, and you can hunt over the counter with archery equipment. And she's like, yeah, let's go. So we went, and that's really when I got back into, I'd say like started the adventure hunting, like backpack style hunting. I'd stand hunted whitetails, sit on the ground, stuff like that. But, never put a pack on and went into the woods. It was always just muck boots and just something to hold your little debbies.
That's
it wasn't
kind of what we grew up doing too.
So it was more just like hiking with a rifle. I knew nothing, and what I've found here versus there, obviously no one wants to burn their sheep spots or their go-to bear baits. Yeah. But in Colorado, and I don't know if other states are like this too, it's very hush hush. Not a lot of people, unless you're like already good friends with them or, family, like spots, draws, this and that. It's very tight lipped. And, working where I did, like I started out working for Shields kind of post, like as I was getting out of the Army. And then afterwards, a couple guys, kind of helped me along the way, but it was, you're on your own, man. So, that first hunt I did, it was just like walking around looking for elk and, but then, fast forward that, I ended up getting out of the Army in 23. I developed an autoimmune condition out of nowhere, and that was kind of the end of it. And blessing in disguise, I think. Still kind of wrestle with it, but so my wife's still in. That's kind of like, I think you had mentioned one time in one of your episodes about looking at military duty stations, kind of like, hey, where's the good places to hunt?
Yeah. So I think that was the last episode.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Okay.
After being in Colorado for so long and getting, bit by that, backpack style hunting bug, where can you go from there? Because you can't stay there forever.
Right.
And what do you think about Alaska? And long story short, we got up here. So
yeah.
And now I never want to leave. So hopefully we can make that work. We've actually discussed it. She's got 10 years left, by the time, like right around now, and it's like, where can you go by yourself, and then I'll stay here and you come back, and we'll just, you can retire. But we'll see.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So now you've been in Fairbanks for about how long?
We got here in September last year, so
Yeah.
a few months over a year.
Yeah, just over a year. Right on. That's quite the diverse background there. I mean, the lower 48 traveling experience. I mean, you got to see everywhere that is so inferior to Alaska. Now you probably feel like you're home.
Well, every place I've been, it's like, how am I going to top this? Like, I grew up in
Right.
Ohio and I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
Like, I never take anything away from my childhood. But then, I thought Tennessee was pretty great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
moving to Colorado, it's like, well, I'm never going to leave here. All the opportunities you get there, and then moving here. But I don't think you can surpass this. I mean, what an opportunity.
Yeah. There's still a lot of good opportunity with a relatively low bar of entry. I mean, really, the bar of entry is get out there and get experienced.
Yeah,
that's the only thing stopping you, really.
The bar of entry is effort.
Yeah.
Effort and time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of low impact stuff too. Like my first hunt here, like I didn't want to bite off more than I can chew. Everybody wants to go sheep hunting, right? But
yeah,
I think learning what I learned the hard way in Colorado, it's like I'm going to take a couple years here before I try to do that. So let's do something low impact first.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, I guess let's just hop right into it then. Your first hunt story in Alaska. Go ahead and lead us into that, and then we'll follow up with the questions.
Well, I had no plans really. I told myself I'd never reload, and that journey kind of started. I'm sure everybody's been there. Like I don't know, it might be an age thing, but to me, reloading was an old FUD thing, and it's like, hey, factory Hornady 143 ODX, it shoots great.
Sure,
but
which it does.
Yeah, and so over the summer, I just thought about maybe I'll do the 40-mile, do a rifle hunt that seems like something you can do, kind of truck based.
Yeah.
Get a stay closer
vest,
to home. I hear these horror stories. Is it really like that?
I have been shot at.
It used to be. Yeah.
Well, I should clarify. I was by a dead caribou that people were shooting at.
One that you had taken?
One that a buddy of mine had shot,
Okay.
and I was staying with it while he went to get the cut gear. And it was.
Yeah.
And luckily, 8 years of Army, 8 years of law enforcement, I've never been shot at. So I'd like to keep it that way. So yeah, I thought about doing that, but working in a retail store, that sells hunting equipment and outdoor equipment, that's when we get busy. So I was kind of telling myself, oh, you don't have time. But I'm doing low development. I'm learning. I'm getting my feet wet with reloading, and I'm just all in about it. So I shoot my bow like pretty consistently. I mean, several times a week. There's a range. Like we live on Wainwright. There's a range right down the road. Yeah. So I'm frequent in that. But
do they still have that full size Moose 3D target?
It might be hidden somewhere. I haven't seen it. Like is it on the flat range? Like
I haven't seen it either. But I had someone this summer that I shot archery league with, 3D league, and he was talking about it as if it was just an easy to just go out there and fling arrows. I think he said it was out to like 98 or 100 yards.
There might be a separate one, but I mean, like it's right kind of by the river, I guess. But they just have bag targets on like 4x4 stands at 20, 30, 40.
Similar to the university range.
Yeah, so I took it upon myself, to get a pretty substantial size, just foam target, because, I'd shot a ton in Colorado. I went to a TAC event, like Total Rifle Challenge.
Okay.
Yeah, so because hunting opportunities in Colorado being as limited as they are, the archery opportunity is really high. I mean, you can draw 0-point units for mule deer. So that was really my first archery hunt. Really? So, shooting the TAC event and then, preparing for that, you're expecting a long shot.
Yeah.
So, I bought a target, and, you kind of look left and right, making sure there's no MP sitting over there, or, you want to be respectful of other people at the range, but most of the times that I was going, there was no one there.
Yeah.
So I'd walk that target out, just, 80, 90, 100, 110, stuff like that. And
wow.
But keeping fresh with the bow, but really focusing on the rifle. And I had really no plans of doing an archery hunt whatsoever. I was just going to do the 40-mile hunt, and then it ended up not happening.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, oh, we're going to open it this date. And
now it's going on right now.
Yeah. So
as it's 25 below, my buddy from southern part of the state's driving up tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. with his dad and his younger brother, and they're going to be home back to the valley tomorrow night by midnight. And I said, you realize it's going to be like 30 below, right?
Just like a turn and burn, like
yeah.
See, See, I've been thinking about it, and I'm kind of like, I did see somebody we know was successful out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that made me think I should give him
But
a
that
call
was
and see
like
where they
right
were.
in the
But
first day or two.
then I didn't have time to do anything, so I was like, why am I going to bother him?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So you thought you were going to just go to the 40-mile hunt?
Yeah, and I ended up just writing that off, and ended up just doing a ton of shooting at the range and getting my gun together. I also did that NRL hunter shoot this summer down in Cantwell area. So we'll get into that later if you guys want to talk about that.
Yes,
but,
I do. Yeah.
So that was kind of the start of it. But a friend of mine, very accomplished hunter, he actually lives in Soldotna area. You know, he hits me up, and it's a week prior to the time he had planned on. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing next week?" I was like, "Well, you kind of controlled that in a sense, but what's up?" He's like, "Well, you've been shooting your bow?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I keep up with it." He's like, "You want to go do the 5-mile corridor up the Dalton Highway?" And I was like, "Yeah, what do we got to do?" And he runs me through some stuff, and you know, I haven't even looked into it. I knew of it, but you know, had really no plans. And
probably seen a YouTube video here or there.
I think the one YouTube video I've seen, and it holds true. There was some archery kind of higher level influencer guy. What would you call it? I think Chris B was actually the one. You know, they rent a U-Haul in Fairbanks and drive up the Dalton. And I don't know how many. So vans, trucks, but also the box trucks. You just see the back door come up, and there's just cots in there.
Yeah, cots. Yeah.
Kind of interesting and bold move, because I lost my windshield and my rear glass on that trip, so I don't know how I'd feel about taking a U-Haul. Yeah, well,
buy the insurance.
But I just turning back in that vehicle was like, "Hey man, sorry, I busted both sets of glass in this vehicle." You know, so you know, we talked through some plans, and you know, he was driving up from Soldotna, and you know, he's like, "Well, I might as well drive all the way." And I was like, "Well," he had talked to some folks too that had done it before. He's like, "Hey, if you can bring two vehicles, because what you can do, you know, set up your camp, but then, you know, you both be driving, find a spot you want to hunt, park one truck, you know, run up a couple miles in another one. That way you can just make a big loop." So we're like, "Yeah, that sounds like a great idea."
Yeah.
Well, ended up doing none of that, but so we planned it out. The dates were going. I think we went the last week of August. So weather was still pretty good. But you know, I'm asking him all these questions, like what gear to bring, you know, and I have most of it, you know, from backpack hunting in Colorado. But you know, we're hunting out of the truck, and I thought, you know, this is a really great way to get my feet wet with like an actual big game hunt in Alaska. Bring rain pants. So we set off, and you know, we drive up that first. We left on a Saturday. I think we pulled out of town about 5:30, 6 o'clock ish. So I mean, by the time you cross the Yukon, I think the Yukon is like the border for the actual corridor, right?
Yep.
You know, so it's like, do I put my bow on the seat? You know, where are we going to see him? But everybody keeps telling us, like, you know, where you expect to see him. You get through the pass, and there's that lake system right there. I can't remember the name of
Galbraith Lake.
Yeah, I think that, and people are like, you know, so start paying attention there. So, you know, we're working our way up. We're stopping, like, and, you know, him being a resident too, you know, I think through Adigan Pass, there's it's an over-the-counter sheep area, right? Or a harvest ticket in certain areas.
Used to be before they closed it.
Yeah. So I'm not real keen on it, because obviously I didn't even, I wasn't a resident at the time, so I had no.
Right.
But you know, we stopped and, you know, checked a couple of drainages looking for sheep, because I'd never seen a doll in person yet. So
did you see any?
Not on the way up. We did on the way back. We saw
nice.
some or it was actually just two little lambs, like way up on the so crazy. So, but like clockwork, we drove like past Galbraith Lake, and he whips off the road, and he gets out, and he's like, "You want to go kill one?" It's like, "Where?" And turns out, like, back up a little bit, my vision. So like with my autoimmune condition, like it kind of damaged the nerves in my eyes. So that's actually kind of what ended my Army career, was like my visual acuity wasn't like to the standard. So, but I mean, I see just fine. Like I'm not blind, but he's like, "Yeah, they're way over." I mean, visibility was kind of low. And so I get out of the truck, we're gearing up, and it's kind of that misty rain. Like it's not like droplets, but it's just kind of like a wall of mist.
Yeah.
And I had bought in the Stone Glacier, I cannot think of what's the jacket's name. They all have their own.
The M5?
I think it's the M5. It's the tan one. So I'm putting that on, and like I'm strapping my pack up, I'm grabbing my bow, and my buddy looks at me, he's like, "Those rain pants?" It's like, "Rain pants? Like for this?" He's like, "You brought them, right?" It's like, I don't own rain pants. And his eyes got big, and he's just like, "Okay." So we just pour over the hill, and you know, never go after a caribou that's walking, like unless you're in front of it, right? I mean, he knew this. Like I'd talked to enough folks about that, and it's just like, it's first group you see, let's go after him.
Yeah.
Well, 5 minutes into it, I'm like, I didn't bring rain pants, and I'm already soaked. And it's 40 degrees, and I thought nothing of it. But that bone chill cold from being wet, and I was like, So, I can't think of the name of I think it's the Foundry pant. It's the lighter weight one, but with the knee pads with the suspenders. I was wearing those, and I was like, those are
the Unk Foundry pants.
Yeah, I was like, those are water resistant-ish.
I have the same pair of pants.
Super comfortable, but yeah, they were soaked through within 5 minutes.
Side question. Have you noticed that after multiple days of wearing those pants that they kind of stretch out a little bit? That they get a little bit baggy?
I don't think I've worn them hunting enough. Like, it was kind of like a range pant for me because the padded knee was great. Yeah. And I wore them up there for the first 2 days after they kind of dried out, but then it just became, luckily the guy, he's a pretty accomplished hunter. I mean, he's lived up here for about a decade, I think. And, he's taken a sheep, like a goat. He goes to Kodiak a lot. So luckily he's a gear guy too.
Yeah.
He brought 2 pairs, and I think I wore
beautiful.
One of the Kuiu rain pants. Like they're pretty solid. They were pretty
Chugach or Yukon or something.
The Yukon. It's got the reinforced knee.
Yeah, I have
game
that
changer.
too.
But
those
I was
awesome.
Had he not had those, so we get back up from that, and it just became a road hunt at that point.
Yeah.
So, and I was really looking forward to that aspect of it because I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew, like I did in Colorado. I put myself in some situations that hindsight was dangerous. But being with him, I was not worried about it at all. But it was a way to hunt from the vehicle and kind of just understand, and and I went into this thinking, if I get to put a stock on an animal, I don't care if I don't harvest one, no bother, but be in the position to see game and just be in the wild. Your first Alaska hunt,
absolutely.
And being a non-resident in that area, it was bull only for me.
Yeah.
But he could shoot a cow, so you're driving 20 miles an hour or less up there, and you're looking left, looking right, and we stopped on the way, made a couple stocks, and nothing crazy. And then right at last light, he just whips over again. Like not even, and all these people will tell you just have your bow on the seat, and they'll just be walking across the road. I don't know if I saw one actually cross the road, but I mean they were along the road.
You'll see one crossing the road when you're doing about 70 and it's dark and it's
I've heard
snowing.
plenty of that story too. Yeah, they were just crossing the road. I got out and shot one. I've never done it.
Yeah, still haven't seen it happen. Yeah,
we saw a couple guys doing that, but
that's funny.
We spotted a group about 200 yards off the road or so, and the terrain played right into it, and he was able to shoot a cow that first night. And there's me, and we had kind of discussed the tactic of all right, whoever's up to shoot, you're on the rangefinder. So trying to play that, but I mean we're hiding behind a bush about the size of this table, and there's
you had a bush.
You weren't very far north.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how far in. I mean, we ended up driving all the way to Prudhoe and back.
Nice.
But at the time, I mean, we were just a few miles south of Pump 2, I think.
Yeah.
Not too.
Oh, yeah.
So
nice.
But
nice.
And I think his shot was 44 yards or so. So I mean, and I was amazed. I was like, well, this is a slam dunk, right? And but he shot it, and all these other cows are just standing around. I'm like, well, I wonder if any of these are bulls. And I'm just looking. Obviously, nothing of size, antler wise, but none of them were. So we take care of his cow, get it put up, and we decided, this was not the plan. We were gonna, find a place to camp, set up, do all that, but harvesting one and getting all that taken care of.
Yeah.
And we kind of just found a pull off, threw the tent up, and went to bed. So next day, it's just wake up, get in the truck, and go. So we just decided to take my truck, make it easy, and we're going back and forth. Visibility was kind of bad. I mean the mist and all that, but you saw through glass, and we're seeing tons of animals. I mean by all told, I mean at least 1,000. It was pretty crazy the amount of just animals moving through the area, but also people.
Yeah.
I mean. And you stop and you talk to them, and it's like,
sure.
Hey, you going to go after those? Because you want to do the right thing. You don't want to step on anybody's toes. But I mean, it is public land in an open area. But you want to be respectful because if you do unto others, hopefully they'll have the gracious to do to you.
Exactly.
But we kind of started playing that to our advantage in a way because you'd spot a group and you see a guy gearing up, and it's like, hey man, we're talking to each other. Those animals are walking that way.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, well, let's drive up and try to cut them off.
Absolutely.
So, and it's just a big game. It's almost like the world's largest deer drive in a way. So, we like.
That's the best way I've ever heard that hunt classified.
Yeah.
That's got to be in the title of the episode.
I mean, I've been on 40-mile hunts that turned out like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you've got guys on this high side and this hillside, and there's caribou running down the chute in the middle, and
then it's cross shooting.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I won't tell the story, but yeah, it was.
Well, that's kind of the beauty of it. Like, I didn't have to worry about getting shot at. Well, we heard a couple gunshots, and it's like, man.
Did you really?
That wasn't 5 miles, but it's like,
when it's
how
that
would you
flat,
know?
it's hard to tell.
Yeah, and like you wouldn't know, but so we continue the road.
You just hear a suppressor.
So I think right around that pump 2 area, like as
walk up, poke it with your arrow,
stick it in the hole.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a reason to shoot a little 22 Creedmoor or something like that.
Well, I mean, the Wound Channel. I don't know if we can get away with that. I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff coming out lately.
I'm just pulling your leg because I know we're going to get to that later. That's hilarious.
But so we kind of just did the road hunt thing, and you're chasing animals that are moving. I don't think a caribou stays in the same spot for 5 minutes.
No.
And the newfound respect I have for those animals, because we both brought rifles with the thought of, if Wednesday rolls around, because we planned to be Saturday to Saturday. I was like, if Wednesday rolls around and we haven't been successful, we'll gear up and we'll mob out those 5 miles.
Yeah.
By like the third stalk, I'm like, dude, we're not doing that. Because I didn't even know what a tussock was.
Yeah.
Prior to this hunt, and I'm in pretty good shape. Like, I kept up with, after the Army and all that, just for the sole purpose of hunting.
Yeah.
Like, I could care less what I look like. Being healthy is great and important, but if I can't carry a pack, I can't hunt, and I can't, so. Yeah.
Well, you got to be careful. Don't let it get away from you, or RFK will come get you.
Yeah. Well, they took the red dye out of my Fruity Pebbles, or they might still, the batch might still be there, but.
Did you keep an OG box then?
No, I think the only OG thing we kept, we still have one of the syrup bottles with Aunt Jemima on it.
Oh, nice.
They've got to be worth something at this point. It's still we left Colorado and packed it. That's how it's.
Wow.
So yeah, it made the trip.
One time I heard about a friend of mine. I don't know if he actually has it, but he claims that he still has a box of Land O'Lakes butter with the Indians still on the reservation.
When did that change?
I think it was about the same time.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. It was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, they kept the lakes and chased the Indian off.
Typical.
You are just politicizing my box of butter?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so road hunt on. There's that lake system right there by, you make that... short of a map, and that's the other thing. I did not scout.
Galbraith and Tulik. Yeah, those are 2 big ones.
Yeah. So pump 2, you go down the hill, it's not like a left or right. It's kind of the road bends, and the pump station's right there. There's a couple lakes there, and finally we had seen some, decent bulls. Mm-hmm. There was a bachelor group, probably 8 or 10 or so, and I'm like, we got to go after these.
And 9 U-Haul trucks on the side of the road all salivating.
Well, luckily, that was the guy that, he's getting out of the truck, he's gearing up. He's on, so that road turns this way.
Yeah.
He's getting out right here.
Yeah.
I was like, I looked at my buddy, I was like, those caribou are walking laterally to the turn. So, if we mob up a couple miles and just run out and get in front of them, that's our play.
Right.
So we do that, we get out, and immediately we're like, well, we should still try it, but the wind's just smacking us in the face.
Yeah.
So, it's going to blow right into them, but it's how much do they care? Because he's hunted caribou before, but I think it was more like the Nome area. So, how skittish are those animals to wind? And there's so many animals, there's so many people around.
Right.
And so we were like, might as well try it.
Right.
So you start off, laterally running in at them, and then you realize how quickly they gain ground. So it just kind of became one of those wide arc things. And we got in front of them, and, I just see tops over the lake, over the bushes. And, I'm getting nervous. I'm getting excited. And I'm just trying to get ranges. I have a pair of EL ranges, and, they're 600, they're 500, they're 400. And it's well, if I had a rifle, this would be a done. But, we couldn't have played it more perfect. And we were just looking at each other. Do we need to move left or right more? It's let's just let it be. And I have no frame of reference for what a, big mature caribou is, but I mean, hindsight, knowing what I know now, like they were pretty solid.
Yeah.
So they're beeline straight to us, and I'm just ranging. It's like every 10 yards. So I finally quit that, and they get to about 200, and like the wind's still right at that point we'd faced them, so it's at our backs. Like I can just feel it on my neck. Like like we'll see how this plays out. We shouldn't move. We got good cover. There was some kind of terrain that played into it, and 200 yards or so, heads come up, and like they're just turning, and their noses are up. Like, well,
yeah,
that's it. And they didn't run. They just kind of widened their arc, and like they just went around us. So it was over at that point. We're not going to be able to catch them. So we went back to the truck, and then, driving back and forth for 2 more days, just kind of doing the same thing. We finally noticed, like, we found a gap, probably 10 miles south of that you could see over the first ridge and kind of into the second, like almost like a little valley. And it just seemed like there were a lot of animals moving through that area. So we're like, let's take this day and just run out. Let's just get out there, maybe a mile, 2 miles, and see what we can do. So we did that, and we're in them, and it's just small group after small group. I'd say, groups of 5 to 30, and they're just passing through. And they'll let you. Have either one of you done this before?
I have.
Okay.
I haven't taken one that way, but I have done it.
So they'll let you get to about 100 yards. Some of them, even just walking straight at them, like big herds of cows. I mean, the bulls, like the few and far between ones that we were seeing, like they're wise. They'll get away from you a little more. But like cows and calves, they don't really care. Yeah. Like they'll let you get to about 100, and then they'll just kind of widen. And, but I don't think I saw one run the whole time.
Yeah.
But we're in them, and we ended up, not being able to cross this creek. Like, we get to it, and they're on the other side of it, and the way it kind of bends around, we're like, if we can get across this and just kind of use that creek as like kind of a natural barrier to them, we found where they were crossing it. So, we're kind of poking it with our trekking poles, like, let's see. So we drop boots, drop pants, and like we go to get in it, and it's just like thigh deep already. And I was like it's this isn't gonna work. So. And luckily it was still, about 40 degrees or so it wasn't terrible. So, dressed back up, and, as we're getting dressed, like just tops come over the hill, and, we had some good cover. There was a lot of willows along that river, and had 2 bulls just kind of come straight to us. And he was not like, he's a really good guy. And he was like, hey man, I already shot this cow. Like, these like next shot opportunity is yours. So, I get an arrow on the string, and they're coming straight to us, and wind, again, not in our favor. It's kind of swirly. It's not like, just kind of blowing at us.
Now, just for the sake of clarification, had you regained your pants at this point?
Luckily, yeah, we had.
Or were you still, boxers in the wind and knocked an arrow,
That would have been something, but no, there were, I think there were some cows that had came through as we were doing, and kind of just like off to the side. But, no, we were back in, and we were trying to find another place to cross. So we'd gotten geared back up, and we're trying to work our way around.
Okay.
And group after group just kept coming. So we were trying to see where they were crossing. Maybe, and the most frustrating thing was one group crossed exactly where we were in the water 20 minutes ago. And that's kind of the hit or miss of it. Like, where are these animals going to go? It's not like they follow trails. So, but we're in this big, like, kind of willow scrub, and, they're coming right to us, and wind is not in our favor again, but it's like, if we move, we're busted. So, but we had cover. So I got an arrow on the string, and he's ranging for me. And in my head, I'm like 80 was kind of my limit. I went into this hunt very confident at 80, like 60, I'm, very tight group. I mean, pretty solid, but 80, I'm on a pie plate with 5 arrows. So, the lungs, the vital zone of a caribou, like I'm very confident, but the wind kind of wasn't, it was a little bit more wind than I wanted. Okay. And so they got to about 90, but again, they can't see us, but they can smell us. They're doing the nose up thing, and they're kind of just twirling in place. They're not sitting still. And, I have the release on the string, and he's calling out ranges like every, 10 seconds or so. And I was like, let me know when they're at 80. And I already had my sight dialed. I have a 3-pin slider. So
spot hog or what?
Black gold mountain ascent, I believe is. Yeah. So, really, really like it. I mean, I can't do like the 5-pin because with my vision, they kind of run together, and the gap is enough.
Right.
So, they got to about 85, and I told myself, I don't want to shoot more than 80. See where that went. But, So, let him go. 2 good bulls. And so, I wasn't like upset or anything. I was like, hey, the goal was accomplished at that point. We put a stock on. I was in the position where I could have, potentially shot, but I couldn't have been happier. It was a great experience. But
yeah,
we get back to the road, get to the truck, and it's never I need to kill something, but we just happened to be driving, and there's a little covey of ptarmigan. I'm like, So he'd already shot a couple, and I was being kind of stingy because I was like, man, do I really want to shoot a RIP TKO with an Annihilator XL on it? Because it's like, I'm not going to find it.
Yeah.
And he gives me a small game head, and I think there was like 6 in this group. We killed 5 of them or so.
Nice.
And I didn't take the time to realize that was the first animal I'd harvested with a bow. And I was kind of bummed about it. I was like, man, I didn't really relish this, and I was kind of upset about it.
Did you get a grip and grin with all your birds?
I did. I got a picture, but it didn't sink in that it was like, hey, you harvest something with a bow. It's pretty impressive. But talk about fun. I mean,
yeah,
because you see them on the side of the road, and I don't know if their defense mechanism is just, hey, they can't see me, they don't move, but their heads just pivot, right?
Yeah. So
obviously, and 20-yard shot or so, you shoot one, they fly off 20 yards, you get your arrow, you throw that one in the pack, you walk to the next one, shoot the next one. So it was just a good kind of relief because that was Wednesday at this point, so we'd been hiking in and out, soaked for days. So like, hey, at least we'll have some meat tonight because we had eaten a couple the day before that he had shot. So we drive back, and then we're like, let's make one more hike out. So we find a ridge kind of where that place where I said we could kind of view out, and we're like, hey, let's just make a play. We'll go sit out there and just glass because like that'll give us a good plan for the next 3 days because we'd already kind of written off rifles. Mm-hmm. Because we looked at each other and we're like, man, after hiking this terrain for a couple days with the 2 of us, if we hike out there with all of our gear, both our rifles, both our bows, and we both shoot a caribou, what are we going to do? Like that's like multiple trips, that 5 miles. Yeah. So then we kind of thought, well, he'd already killed a cow. He's like, you take your bow. He'll carry his rifle. That way, we can still make a play on an animal if we see it in the corridor. Sure. But that went away quick. So we're like, let's just like we're in animals.
What was your footwear choice?
I had luckily like I bought a new pair of Crispies. I think one of the like the GTX, like they're like a mid-length boot.
Is it leather or synthetic?
Synthetic.
Okay. Is it the Brickstall?
No, I think it's the
Thor, the Summit.
The Summit. I think it's the GTX 2.
Yep.
And then
my wife has the Summits.
Yeah, and then I have a pair of Kinetrek Mountain Extremes, the 400 grain insulate. So, I bought those Crispies just specifically for this hunt the week prior, like as soon as I knew.
Yeah. Those should dry pretty quick too.
And they do, luckily. Yeah. So, but I have those, packed in my stuff, and I'm looking. I have my Kinetreks in my hand. I was like, do I really need insulated boots on this hunt? They're like, well, we're hunting out of the truck, so what's the worst? I don't wear them.
And once those get wet,
they stay wet. But
it takes a while for them to dry.
Day 1, those Crispies were soaked through. So next day, wore the Kinetreks, got those dried out in the tent. Next day, back to and then just leapfrogging boots.
Yeah,
that's a
good idea. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even a thought at the time, but rain pants and 2 pairs of boots. You're hunting out of a truck, man. We're not counting weight here.
Exactly.
So, we park, we run that, we find some like harder ground because like you've been up there. Mm-hmm. Whenever you're in the tussocks, like it's just hard walking. So we kind of run a ridge out, some solid ground actually, and we're just walking in glass and not being quiet because we hadn't seen any animals. And in the bottom, there's 2 guys. Like we stopped and like because they're just walking through, and we could hear them talking almost even. They were just like not being quiet. Well, then they start waving their arms at us because they noticed we were looking at them, and they just keep doing this. And there was kind of a cliff face around in front of us, and so we're like doing like making antler signs, and they're just like giving us kind of directions and stuff. So there's a cliff in front of us, and we're thinking, and the way they're motioning us, it's like far. So, we thought about taking our packs off. And I was like, I'm going to leave mine on because we had watched a guy drop his pack and then chase his herd all over the place. So it's like, let's not be that guy.
Yeah. And then find your pack. Yeah.
That's a good lesson to learn.
That terrain is, you don't think like, you're like, okay, well the road is here. I'm walking this direction, but it all looks the same.
So the now Peaks glassing pad with the orange side.
Mm.
Do they sell one with the orange side?
I haven't looked because I still have the
remember.
originals.
I still have a couple originals from the previous owner.
I don't know.
But it's got an orange side on it, and so you
Well,
can
it's
flash
that one
with it.
right there. See that tan top and orange
So you just throw
bottom?
that on top of your pack.
Yeah.
Or I wear it on the back of my pack if I'm hunting where other people are. It just display that.
Let you know they're there. Yeah. So
it's still a smart idea not to leave your pack anywhere.
It is, but
that's still a
sometimes
good
you have
lesson
to set it down and to go 100 yards.
Yeah. So we kept their packs on, and we're thinking we got to make this next little ridge. And as we're moving along, we just kind of crest, and then he saw antler tops, and he was in front of me, and we were busted at that point. They were just bedded in kind of this bowl once we got walked up to it. So we let him go, and the people walked up to us, and we said, hey, thanks for that, because they were trying to stock in on them, but then they realized that we were in a much better position.
Oh, I see.
So it almost like they let us kind of have it, because they knew they would have been walking into them. We would have been able to get over them. So I think that was pretty cool that they realized that. We kind of conversed with them for a second, and then we're like, well, I wonder how far they went, because they could have just went over the next one. So we're in the mode. So we walk out the ridge a little bit more, and just kind of peeking, and finally, like, we get to a spot they're bedded, and there ended up being 7 or 8. I couldn't get a good count on them, nice. But dropped the packs finally. So that was we found a good spot where we kind of got geared up, kind of got as quiet as we could, making sure that your sleeves aren't like, doing something crazy that way the string. And where they were bedded again was kind of on another kind of rock face, like at the bottom. So, shooting downhill, we have a good vantage point. The wind actually was in our favor for once. And it was just get close enough.
Yeah.
And so we got into, I want to say it was 72 for the first one. And we're both on our knees. He's peeking up, he's getting a range, and he's like, hey man, they're bedded. The first one of the group, it's a bull, it's looking away from us. You could see the vitals from that area, and it's like, well, that's a good shot. So, get ready and dial my sight, 72 yards, and it was shooting downhill. So I'm like, I'm confident with that. And I luckily, a lot of the like archery practice I'd done, if you just stand there with both your feet planted in the ground on flat ground, you're really not going to learn how to shoot in, this scenario.
Right.
So I had practiced, drawing from my knees, standing up, and then settling in, taking the shot, or kind of awkward shot angles, sitting, because hunting in the mountains, you're going to have to do that. And, you're not always going to get that, let me just sit here and, make my shot.
Yeah.
So drew from my knees, kind of made that awkward stand up, and I felt like we were super quiet. The wind was still in our favor, and I don't know what made the one that I was, going to shoot turn his head, and I saw the whites of his eyes, like we locked eyes, and I wasn't anchored in at that point, so I wasn't prepared to shoot. Like my shot process, if I timed it, I'd say 12 to 15 seconds to where I'm like comfortable, ready, settled in.
Are you shooting a thumb button or a hinge?
I haven't moved to a thumb button. I'm using the Spot Hog Wise Guy. It's it's the hook, but it's still a trigger.
The same one that Mariah shoots.
I got turned on to it by the guy that set my bow up, and I don't know if I'll ever make the change. I think that's
the way I feel. I also don't shoot enough right now to make the change.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting into. Would you have 2 new bows now? 3?
What?
Since this time last year.
2.
Okay, yeah. He's
one's a recurve, one's a compound.
He was getting way into talking to it, and then we had somebody out for archery on the show, and I was thinking, I got to buy it, and I was like, why? I hardly shoot mine. I shoot mine enough to bear bait and moose hunt.
I went back to shooting an index release this summer after shooting a thumb button for years, but we can talk about that after a little bit here. But
and
I was just curious about that.
My thought on it was, you shouldn't ever punch a shot, right?
Right.
But in a hunting situation, like, sometimes you have to command that arrow release. So I've had some, dialogue with some guys about that, and that's the way they feel. And it's
just hammering canes it.
Yeah. Those guys. But I'm trying to settle in, because they're doing like kind of getting up on their elbows and trying to stand up. And, I I'm a full draw, I'm anchored in, but you always want to bend at your hips instead of like your arms to kind of keep your anchor point the same.
Yep.
So I had already leaned over, and once you're leaned over, it's kind of hard to get back up. So I was fighting myself, but still trying to keep tension on the string and not like get let down.
Right, collapse.
And they got to their feet, and as soon as they stood up, they ran. So I let down. I'm like, well, again, hunt goal met. That's 2 stocks, 2 arrows on the string.
Yeah.
But they didn't run all the way off. Like they just kind of looped around to the top of the ridge, and again, like they'll let you get within about 100 yards. So I let down. I didn't take the arrow off the string, and I look over, and he's got I think the Vortex Furies.
Okay.
And I was like, how far are they? About 100. So he clicks it, and he's like 107. I'm like, I shouldn't do that. And full disclaimer, like I don't advocate for what I did, and I don't. Hindsight, I would do it again. It was successful, but we'll start with that. So he tells me he's like 107, and it was just like a quick 10-second conversation. He's like, "What are you thinking?" I was like, "Well, wind's good." Like, and my worry was the flight of the arrow, not
right.
They'd already busted us, so I was like, there was no wind. It was calm. And they're just standing there all in a line, all broadside, and they're all bulls, so I wasn't worried about that.
So if it drifts like 6 feet, you're still going to hit another bull.
No, I picked the one at the end. I was like, the guy at the end, like, that's the guy. Yeah. We didn't actually discuss that. I think I had mentioned, I was like, hey, I'm going to look at the one on the end.
Yeah. So
my sight tape, I'm shooting a 433 grain arrow, so it's pretty fast. Like, I got a...
Out of what bow?
Matthews Phase 4, 33.
Okay.
So... I'm right at 300 feet per second, and so it's pretty flat shooting bow. And me with my vision, that helps me because
And what's your draw weight?
It's at 70, and then I'm at 20. Being 6'4", people were like, "No way, your draw's that short." It's 29.
What?
Yeah, I it's what I'm comfortable with. I don't know if I don't stretch my back out or whatever I do, but I know I lose a little because if at first it was like bow draw length's like an ego thing. I don't know if you guys have ever ran into that.
I've heard it, but we didn't grow up with our archery
My dad had
circle.
a draw length. Your dad has a long draw length. It was just like, oh yeah, no, you just need a longer draw length.
It never really meant
which was hard
anything.
to find a bow for it at one point.
So
it never really meant anything though. Like until I started listening to more archery podcasts.
Go to TAC.
I could I could hear that in the archery podcasts, like Podium Archer. He's got the big shop in Washington, and then I think he's got another one in Tennessee.
I think it's a new shop that he's
but on some of his shows he talks about that, and a lot of his spec type stuff, and he's going over things, and he's like, I know for you guys are thinking you need this long of a draw length, and I sort of putting it together like this is kind of an ego thing for some guys.
I was hurt because you lose velocity.
But
think of it like a bullet, though. I mean, means to an end.
Yeah, but, exactly. It's getting there.
So, anyway, they're standing there at 107, and having shot out to those distances, with a broadhead. Always practice with a broadhead, of course, because like the flight of the arrow is different.
Sure.
Luckily, I didn't have to tune it like rest tune. Like I was, my impacts were the same as my field point out to about 60, but 70 or so, I had to shoot an extra yard. 90 an extra yard
just because of increased drag.
Yeah, it's just the drag. Like just gravity's a thing. So so at 107 I'm like, well, let's shoot for 3, shoot him 110. So I dial my sight to 100 and I draw, and I settle my pins in. My floater is the bottom, so like I'm dialed to 100, so my bottom pin's 100. Well, my middle pin, which would be gap of 10 yards, was right at the top of his antlers, so I had a good frame of reference. So I don't know if I consciously did this, but I told myself, like, while I was settling in, if that pin's 10 yards apart, that would be 90. Well, if I put my 100 pin where the 90 pin was, 110, I'm shooting that 3 extra yards for the drag. And I settled in and let it go. And, in the shot process, like I know I blinked and like I kind of lost sight of the arrow, and he's on glass the whole time. And it just felt like forever. Like you could hear the arrow, and I didn't see it impact, but I heard it. And my favorite part of all this is he's in the glass, and without coming out of the binos, he looks over at me. He's like, "You hit it!" And he's going nuts. And like I have my bow in my hand, I have my release, and we just kind of like do one of the awkward like fist bump things. Yeah. And I was like, where? So all the ones ran left, and the one I actually impacted went right. And so we have that like freak out moment. He's like, you just shot a caribou at 107 yards. And it didn't really sink into me because I was like, well, he's got an arrow in him. Where and like how vital is it? And luckily, the way the terrain felt, like he went down kind of like a bowl below us, and we had eyes on him the whole time. The rest of them blew out.
Nice.
And by the time he worked his way around broadside, left and right. So he was facing left. It was just ever so slightly far back from where I wanted, and where you could see the knock point. Because I mean, there was probably a good 8 inches of arrow still out.
Okay.
So I got more penetration
that's
than
not bad.
Yeah, and lighter arrow shooting it faster, I think was still aided in that.
Over 100 yards. That's still plenty fine penetration.
Yeah, and we finally, like, I got glass out and we're looking at him, and where the knock point was, I was like, that's rear lung liver all day. Yeah. But then we noticed, because he's explaining the shot process to me after, and he's like, I heard your release let go, and I thought about coming out and looking at you like, what? But he's like, let me stay on the glass and see if you hit it. Well, he said the arrow, you just saw it come in the frame, and he thought immediately way high, but it just kept dropping, and smack.
Oh,
so
I see what you're
something I didn't take into consideration was that the angle it impacted,
it's like shooting out of a tree stand.
Yeah, and so where the knock point was pretty good placement, but it was in about an angle. So
I had never even thought about that before.
And that's the thing that would if in the same situation, if you take into consideration, sure. But that would be the one hesitancy I have to take that shot again, was because how do you correct for that? Do you shoot an extra yard? Because then would that work out as far as the angle? Well, got a long off season to shoot to figure that out. But again, I don't want to advocate for shooting that far. Like, I get mixed reviews. Like I
don't doubt it.
And I don't like necessarily go out of my way to offer it up. I think the time that we spoke about it, like, I've had people ask me about it, and if they ask me, I tell them, and it's a 50-50. Some people are like, wow, man, that's pretty impressive. And then other people are like, who do you think you are? And it's not an ego thing. I just know I've shot out to that distance before. And, 3 days ago I had one at 80, and it's like, why didn't I just take that shot? It was a bigger bull. It was closer, but I did. So we watch him, me being a less experienced hunter, I just wanted to run right at him. Right. You want to cause it's a vital hit, but he's still on his feet. Let him do. So we just kind of plop down, watch him. Well, he beds down, and we're like, I'm confident in it, and he is too. So we're thinking, let's just watch and wait. But we're looking at our watches and looking at the sky. Like, it's getting pretty dark. So, and with my vision, low light's awful. And at this point, it'd only been maybe like 20 minutes or so. I'd never had this feeling before, because I've never, hunting whitetails, shooting with a muzzleloader, they kind of just dump right there. I've never had to really track one. So, I've never had this feeling of, like having an animal that, is wounded, but it's, the job's not done. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe I shouldn't have taken that shot. Like, but knowing it was like, he wasn't running, he bedded down, and they kind of, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, they kind of lay their head down like a dog. Like, I knew he was done.
Yeah.
So, the thought process was, let's get to a spot where we can, see really well, play the light as we need to. And it's just getting darker, but he gets into some kind of scrub, and I was like, this is our play. And we get in to about 100, and we can just see tops at that point. Like, he's, and it's perfectly like up. I knew he was laying his head down kind of like a dog, and it just was strange to me. I'd never seen or thought of that. So it's getting darker. It's about, I don't know, maybe 10. So, and he's got his rangefinder out. I have an arrow on the string. Like, once we got to 100, we're like, okay, if he stands up, you got to be prepared to take that shot. So he's giving me ranges as we step. What a partner, right? So we get to about 40, and oh my God, you think he would have gotten up, because we're trying to be quiet, but every third step is shin deep, like muck, and like that suction sound that you pull your foot out. Yeah, that, and so I'm thinking he's got to hear us. So we're at like 40, and we kind of look at each other. Are we walking up to a dead animal? And but I still have an arrow. I was like, well, let's just do this. How about you kind of take a wide left and try to get him to stand up? Because like I don't want to get any closer at this point because I'm good to shoot from here. If we need to. How about you take a wide gap where I won't be shooting at you if he does get up. Yeah. And because we got to make this happen because there's bears in the area. We know that. We'll get back to that later.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. So as soon as he gets 4 or 5 steps to my left and takes a step forward, I see the tops of his antlers kind of rock back, and to me that was him lifting his head to try to get up, and ripped back full draw, and it was 40 yards, and I'd already put my sight back to 40, so I had 20, 30, 40, and he got to his feet, and no sooner than he locked his elbows out, I let one go, and the smack, that's a sound I don't think I'll ever like lose. Like it's hard to describe because it's just that thump, and I just knew that was like both lungs tore through, and I mean he's dead sprint for like 3 gallops and just toast. Yeah. And at that point I'm just at the time, like we had talked earlier, like I grew up religious, but at the time, hadn't really, and I just dropped my knees, and like I had kind of like just a prayer, like a thank you to just like, to, be in that position to take an animal and, be successful, but also, knowing it's going to good use. Cause that's always been kind of like, there's a reverence to hunting. And I think some people miss that. And, it was definitely a thankful moment, and that it was over. Yeah. And it wasn't even that long, but I mean, you guys have hunted your whole lives. Like if you're in that situation, it's like, it felt like hours.
Yeah. You start overthinking everything.
Yeah. And then when it's finally over and done.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Or the worst one is the animal you never find again.
Yeah.
And
that
my fear
that is sometimes weeks.
That is gut
just
wrenching.
Weeks of.
Yeah.
That's all you can think about.
Yeah, I think outside of a dove in Ohio when I was a teenager, you're shooting it and it goes into the corn behind you. It's like, but that eats you up. So I couldn't imagine, something like a caribou or, a moose or something. So just happy it ended well. And, got to put my hands on my first, Alaskan animal. And the first thing I noticed was their pelt, their coat.
Yeah.
Like I'd felt beaver fur before. And it was kind of eerily similar to like the layering, because he died in 2 feet of water, of course. So, I'm up to my knees. I'm just so happy. And I was like, well, this is interesting. So, I mean, because I had talked about, wanting to keep the pelt if we do, but, a waterlogged caribou pelt. I was like, by the time we got him broke down, I was like, I'm not carrying that. So,
been there.
So get up to him. Because the first thing I wanted to do was, check that first arrow. Yeah. Where did I hit? What did it do? Right. I
think that's probably what every bow hunter wants to do when they get up to their animals. Where did that thing go?
Well, it was almost like you want the validation that you did the right thing, or this is a lesson that you'll never do it again.
Collecting data.
And mixed bag. So I think at the trajectory, but also maybe the diminished velocity, second to last rib entered, and it was kind of like the back bottom portion of his front side lung.
Okay.
But it wasn't a lot of damage. Like it wasn't a functioning lung at that point. So
sure.
And then kind of bottom of liver. But the other thing I noticed when I went up, his right in front of his, genitals was blown out the bottom. And I was like, well, I definitely didn't hit there. As he laid down into the arrow, it kind of pushed back. So, because by the time I got up to him, the arrow had broken off too. So actually, you asked me about the broadhead.
Yeah.
So this was just rumbling around in there the whole time. So, the Annihilator XL and the 100 grain.
Yeah.
So, obviously
this is the one that you shot him with.
No, I never recovered it. Like the arrow broke off.
Oh, really?
And it being super late, we knew there were bears in the area. Like I wanted to kind of dig through and find it, but
we've been there too.
Yeah, and but the second arrow I shot, it blew straight through into the willows, so there was no recovering it. So that's just another one I had.
Are these hundreds or 125?
Hundreds. Yep.
Okay. So how long are your arrows? With 29-inch draw length, you're what, 30-ish maybe?
31 maybe. Like I used the Hamsky Epsilon, so I can cut them pretty short.
Okay. So you said you had a little bit of arrow sticking out the entrance side with the first shot. So the broadhead didn't go all the way through then, because I was thinking about that. Like, did it go all the way through and get 2 holes? But, no. So it stayed in.
Yeah. So the backside hide, it hadn't penetrated all the way, but it stayed in.
Kind of went in here and then got jacked around inside and cut up the internals.
Yeah, because that arrow had broken off. I think one of the times he bedded, it broke off, and so that was just kind of rattling around in there.
Interesting.
And I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah.
Kind of abdominal was coming out. The
certainly played to your advantage though.
Yeah. And once we realized that, we're like, we
imagine sitting down and just like you're hurting and you sit down and it's just this.
Yeah. So I didn't get to recover it, unfortunately, and then I had this kind of selfish moment where it's like, well, that was $80 worth of arrow.
Yeah.
But then immediately I was like, that's what you buy them for.
Yeah.
So, having bought as many arrows as I have, like, I think I took 3 dozen to tack and lost like 10, just shooting at foam, right? I
would just lose my mind.
So to finally, use one for its actual purpose, I had that like inkling of, I lost 2 arrows. And I was like, well, that's the best use. Like, that's what they're for.
Yeah.
So
I lost an arrow this previous summer, shooting at a buddy's house, and you've probably seen him in the store, and you would know who I'm talking about if I told you. But my wife and I were over at their house, and he has a 3D bighorn target in his backyard, and he and I were shooting, and I think we swapped bows at one point, and I shot his, and then I was shooting mine, and I have the Spot Hog Fast Eddie XL.
Yeah, good sight.
It's an older version of the sight. They've since changed several things about it. But I bought it used from a guy that I shot 3D League with a few years ago. Works for me. It's the dual vertical pin,
like the post.
Yeah.
So
2 dots on it.
Yeah.
It's super simple for me. I like that it's very minimal in the sight picture. Right. I don't feel like I have to look through this maze of pins. But I was shooting at his sheep target, and you know how it gets. You're shooting with a buddy. You're talking back and forth. I walked from 50 into 40, didn't reset my wheel, and zinged one over the back of that sheep. Spent like the next hour plus with a leaf rake out in the woods looking for my arrow. Did not find it.
I lost one at your place you lived before here.
Did you really?
Yeah. Remember that? Which was like a hard place to lose one.
In like a cut yard.
Yeah. But there was little bushes and like a planter. I don't know. I don't think we ever found that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got stung by a hornet looking for that arrow this summer, and I still kept on looking.
I was going to say, did that call it quits?
Nope. I came back and got mad and put some baking soda on there, but then I went right back out there, and then about 10 more minutes of that, my arm was like pulsating in pain.
Somebody who's proud of how many animals they've killed with a single arrow, and that would be my dad.
Yeah.
How many animals has he killed with a single arrow?
I don't know, but
are they aluminum?
That was back when he was shooting aluminum.
Okay,
yeah.
Because I was
he's done that with some carbons now, probably too.
My wife has killed more than one bear with a gold tip.
Kind of fragile. I mean,
yeah.
You hit anything but foam with those. I've seen them blow up.
You hit in between the rib bones on a black bear, and it is unscathed, man. Unscathed.
Yeah, my dad didn't switch to carbons for a long time because he'd go into the store and somebody tried to convince him, and he'd just say, well, I've killed 5 animals on a carbon, or however many he's killed on aluminum, and they were just blown away.
With the same...
Oh, yeah. Again and again and again and again.
Yep.
Did he retire it, or did it eventually get lost?
I think eventually he would have written on the fletches the animals and the dates.
Notch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I started shooting the same bow he shot for years, a Hoyt Ultratech, and he had this one arrow. It was an aluminum. What was it? The Easton
XX75.
Something like that. Yeah.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had the the spiral fletchings on it, 5-inch spiral fletchings.
Yeah.
And I shot a bear with, and he'd killed a bear with that arrow, and I got to shoot a bear with the same arrow and the same bow years later. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what a memory.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
You always have that. And
I don't know if it was the same broadhead.
The last couple of bears that I shot, I broke my arrows. But those were kind of unique scenarios. But the several prior to that and my wife's last few bears, I mean, straight through them. If you hit them in the ribs, and even if you do hit rib, a lot of times, because I mean, they're
not that fit.
11, 12 yards, and it's thin skin.
Usually, they break when they hit a tree or something.
Yeah.
Or they run past a tree when they're running.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty interesting. So, how do you feel about the broadheads now that you've made a couple of shots on an animal with them?
Well, the interesting thing, if you look at it, it's one piece of machined steel, and it's not like, say, your typical Muzzy where it's the 3 blades, and they're effective, but it has kind of that back end that creates that hole that can't kind of seal up.
Yeah.
So I think that was good. But it being one piece machined steel, can you tell it's still pretty rusty?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Something I didn't think about.
That's why I asked you if that's the one you'd shot it with.
This is probably going to be the reason I do some, searching this summer for a new broadhead.
Do you know what steel they use?
I mean, you guys would know better than me.
I don't know for that broadhead. I was going to ask that question if he didn't actually.
I mean, I would hope it's not just like tool steel, right?
Well,
but it's like
there's a lot of
maybe
them that are.
Yeah.
Oh
so,
yeah, a lot.
A lot of high end ones are.
And it didn't even cross my mind until I went to go shoot one of those ptarmigan. I pulled it out.
NAP what now?
So this is an Annihilator XL.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just my case.
I was going to say, NAP.
I didn't notice it until earlier that day. I went to go shoot one of those ptarmigan, and I was putting the small game head on, and I pulled it out, and it was just rust. Not something I'd considered, having been my first archery hunt, and I well, first in the rain. I think every time I hunted in Colorado, it didn't even rain a drop. So, hence the no rain pants. So, how naive, right? That was the first thing I did when I got back to town the next morning.
Yeah.
Had no other hunt plan, but I drove straight to the store and bought a pair of the Stone Glacier M5 rain pants.
Mm-hmm. So it's a 4140 alloy.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's. I was going to ask you. So it was kind of like what you just said about the corrosion on the hunt, and that's
to me that would just have to diminish the blade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think.
Yeah.
The terminal performance of it I think was excellent, but
yeah.
What in the field? What do you do to correct that? I'm like, am I gonna keep a little bit of gun oil on me and clean my broadhead every day?
So some guys will coat it in some kind of a steel wax
coating on there? Probably like a phosphate.
Yeah, some kind of like a blade wax or a blade oil just to preserve it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is the downfall of tool steel in a lot of cases, compared to other options. That are more corrosion resistant. I hadn't thought of that. I was talking to a guy this summer. I bought some broadheads from a fella, from a relatively small company, and I called him up on the phone, had a few questions about the broadheads and some of their inserts, their proprietary, system builds. And I am admittedly naive to the whole compound gadgetry side of things. That's why I kind of spent a lot of my summer trying to listen to a lot of podcasts from reputable sources and just trying to download information and just try to learn more about it, because I grew up shooting a recurve and a longbow, and I didn't even shoot a compound until I guess 5-ish years ago now. And even up until this summer, I was always very basic, and I still am, but I was trying to learn more about the whole system and arrow builds. There is so much variety.
Yeah.
There are so many options. And so having interchangeable components isn't as common of a thing as I thought it would be. And the different inside diameters of different shafts from different brands. And so I was thinking sometime this summer, I'd like to try these, I'd like to try those, get 3 of those, and then, but I could put kind of the same weight components on the front end. Well, you can't do that because not all of them are the same inside diameter or the same outside diameter. And just just within even the same manufacturer, different models, and it's so different. And so they all require their own specific system. So when I was talking to this guy about broadheads, I was asking about his whole insert system or outsert. And he mentioned about the broadheads being highly corrosion resistant. And the broadheads are S35 steel, which is a very common knife steel.
I think Benchmade makes a good amount of their stuff in that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a knife guy.
Yeah. But he said that one of the reasons why he tried that in the early days was highly corrosion resistant. Now, tool steel has a very high impact resistance compared to
those
other
are
steels.
Rockwell 52.
Yeah, 52.
Yeah.
Which usually you see a lot of tool steels are going to be up in that 58 to 60 Rockwell hardness.
Okay.
So that's a little bit lighter, but I don't believe that that steel is a tool steel. Usually it'll say if it's a tool steel.
I don't believe it is.
The 41 something alloy. But that's kind of the trade-off. And he was talking about, he has done some tests with tool steel broadheads that are extremely impact resistant. Like you could shoot them into a brick.
They've done it with those. Yeah.
Yeah. On the Jeff Lusk channel. Is that the guy that did it?
There's some, but I think like there was one where they did some sheet metal in front of some OSB or something like that.
That's Jeff Lusk.
And then he picks it up and it's still got a point on it. I was like,
that's Jeff Lusk.
By.
He is the best, broadhead abuser in the world, in my opinion. He has a lot of good videos about different broadheads. But
it's basically a tool steel. Same thing. Iron will. That's what the arrow are made out of.
Iron will. That's interesting because that was one of the
Iron will is
I made.
A2 tool steel, I think.
It's very. 41.
I think RMS gear is S7 tool steel, something like that. But again, high impact resistance, but different tool steels are more susceptible to corrosion. So he was talking about the corrosion resistance tests and edge retention after corrosion. And he said that there was a significance.
You can run your finger along. You couldn't do that prior.
In the diminishing return just over a few days. And he said, then you introduce saltwater environments and it's going to be even faster. And so he said, coastal Alaska, if you're ever going to go brown bear hunting or deer hunting, you want a broadhead that's extremely corrosion resistant.
Yeah.
And I had never even thought of that before because all the bow hunting I've done up here has all been bear baits in the interior. So, I've killed almost all of my bears with either the G5 Montec or the G5 M3. Yeah. And they're basically a version of the same thing. And I've never had to deal with corrosion, but that's an interesting note. It looks like a nice broadhead. I mean, I'm sure it works just fine. I did notice that. I haven't ever handled one of these in person, but having that kind of a concave shape there and that unfillable hole, I guess. Yeah, it can't close back on itself.
The second arrow, I mean, it was a nasty hole. I mean, you could see where it couldn't close, right?
Right.
I mean,
right.
And so I mean, I think it performed extremely well, but I'm hesitant again. I only have 4 of them left, so I don't know if I'm gonna take them on another hunt because if I don't have a full quiver, so I could order more. But
shoot some ptarmigan with them.
And so growing up bow hunting, I didn't. So the first time I ever drew my bow on an animal, I killed something. It was a ptarmigan, right?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. We get it down and take some pictures. The obligatory photos. And, biggest smile ever. It settled into me that first animal with a bow, first non-whitetail bigger than a turkey. I shot a turkey when I was a kid, and small game. So the surrealness of the situation. But then he's like, it's getting dark, man. We got to go. I'm like, but he didn't push me. It was great.
How far off the road were you at that point?
When I took my shot, I think we were about 2, and in the ensuing
miles.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I thought this was just a couple hundred yards off the road.
I think by the time we'd actually, put the first stock on, we were over a mile. Yeah. And we probably bumped him another, mile or so.
Yeah.
But by the time, we actually broke him down, where he died, pulling out the inReach, it was 2.5. And it was about 10:30 at that point. So it had gotten dark enough to where, I can't see 10 feet in front of me.
Yeah.
And, we know we're 2.5 miles off the road, and luckily we packed light. We didn't bring any food other than just snacks. You had the puffy in the pack, but no real gear, no camp. So we were pretty light. It was just bows and food for the day and
Did
water.
you have headlamps?
We both had headlamps.
That's
so yeah, and luckily
I've heard those stories up there.
So yeah, we get to work, and my noviceness, that's the first animal I had to break down since I think the last whitetail I killed was right before I left for the Army that year. It was I was 22, so that would have been 2014.
Wow.
So I was like, hey man, I don't remember how to do this.
Yeah.
And so we're breaking it down. He's walking me through it, and I'm just like, because you shoot a whitetail, what do? You grab it by its legs and drag it to the truck.
Yeah, right.
So I never, in hindsight, like, what would I have done if I killed a bull elk in Colorado? Like, how naive was I? And I think that was God's way of like, hey man, you're just not going to be successful. So
yeah,
like, I felt like at the time I was prepared for it, because I was like, man, I'd taken apart so many deer, but never in the field, solo.
Right.
And it was kind of like, an oversight on my end, but it was great. I learned to, again, it was a good part to be.
And he got to do it in 2 inches of water.
Well, you might know like the age class of the animal. I would have put it as, not a yearling bull, but, maybe like a 2.5. Cause I can pull up his antlers in a bit, but, small enough to where we could still move him, like roll him and move him out of it. So we got him out of the water, but water logged. So getting the cape off, threw that off to the side and then broke him down and got him packed up. So we're kind of dividing and, being bear aware too. And this is not something I'd ever had to think about. Black bears in Colorado. Most of the areas I hunted, I was more concerned with Shiras moose. So, but having to be bear aware in that situation, that was a new thing for me. And
did you carry a handgun or no?
So I don't own a 10 mil yet. And luckily he has a Glock 20 and a Glock 40. So I had the 40, he had the 20. So we both had handguns at the time, and we'll get into that one in a second. That's a good point I forgot about. But we're breaking it down. We get it packed up, and we're just dividing like, hey, who's going to carry what? And then we look, and we're like, 2.5 miles. And I think it was about 11:30 at that time. It'd taken about an hour, and it's just over a ridge, and then one more.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time, you're thinking, it's 2.5 miles. But I think one of your guys' episodes, you mentioned like kind of pacing yourself, counting your steps.
Yeah.
But we're just like, we got to get back to the truck. So, we just take off, and then, your number of steps you take just incrementally gets smaller.
Yeah.
And we're both in pretty good shape, but,
yeah.
if I estimated the amount of weight we both had, full caribou, and then each of us had our bows, we were probably right under 100. Nothing crazy, because I had the head, and then I had both rear quarters, and then I think he had both fronts. I had the neck meat too. He had both fronts, and then backstraps, tenderloins.
So you had more weight.
I felt like it was the right thing to do in that situation.
Yeah.
But and I wanted to, like, I kind of wanted that the immersion.
Did you take the ribs out on the bone, or
no? So we
bone out the ribs.
We boned out the ribs, but left meat on like all the quarters. Like we carried them out on the bone. Like not having done either, it just in my head, a big sack of Jello versus the bone. Like in your guys' experience, probably packing out more animals. That's got to be the way.
I'm going a long ways. Like almost multi-day. Then I don't care about boning out. Like
because we put it in the main bag. Like I put one quarter, kind of shank up, and then the other one kind of shank down.
Yep.
And then cinched them down.
It evens it out. Yeah.
It carried way better.
Yeah.
But
only time I've boned out meat is when I have like a load cell bag. Like Stone Glacier makes them. I think a lot of companies make them now. I still have the old Stone Glacier one that I bought years ago, but it's a load cell. Mm-hmm. It's like a dry bag with an untaped seam on the bottom.
It's structured.
Right. Yeah. It's not like stuffing boned out meat in a garbage sack and then strapping it to the load cell and then putting your bag over it. And then the meat wants to kind of squeeze out the sides in between the straps. So there's some structure to it. And if you use a load cell bag, that's big enough to fit an entire boned out sheep in that load cell bag. So you can kind of play Tetris in there and,
I've looked at some of those.
Make it all fit. I did that with Tabitha's deer that she shot on top of the mountain last year when we walked all the way up there.
That's right, you did.
I put it in that load cell bag on the load shelf of that initial ascent. No, I didn't bone it out.
Yeah, but the deer
but it fit in there. Yeah, that deer, that was a doe, but it all fit in that load cell bag just fine.
That's what I love about them little deer, man.
Yeah.
This is the blacktail?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, those little, you shoot some of those young ones, you got to, at this point, if I have the opportunity, I'm just going to shoot a couple, because you take a front quarter and you put it in a gallon Ziploc bag.
Like boned out?
No.
Oh.
Not quite a gallon Ziploc bag.
You cut
the shank off.
Yeah, cut the shank and cut that off, but then the rest of it goes in that gallon bag.
It's pan sized.
And
for the little ones.
You slow cook that.
Little pygmy deer, right? I mean,
you slow cook that. What is that? A yearling?
Uh-huh.
Usually you slow cook that yearling. I mean, that is some of the best meat.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
That ever existed. Yeah.
I've been told, like,
undoubtedly, every year one of us in our group kills one of those little dinky deer, and we all get back to camp that night and we all make fun of the guy, and then we eat an entire hind quarter, and we're like, "Oh, that's so good. We got to shoot another dink."
Yeah, I shot 2 in one day.
Well, having had blacktail, because I haven't got to eat it yet. I mean, I've had Rocky Mountain elk, moose at this point. How would you compare blacktails? Because I've been told, short of muskox, the people that have had it.
Sheep, muskox, blacktail deer. It's all the same tier, man.
I've heard that from several people, so I'm itching to experience it. So
I think a lot of it, we've talked about it on the podcast. I think a lot of it has to do with the variety of diet.
Yeah.
They're on the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
They eat, so they get a lot of the ocean, the weeds and everything that grows in the water. But then they're in the alpine, right? And they're eating alpine stuff and everything in between.
Yeah, they're in the alpine from late spring all the way through early fall. Then they come down into the old growth, and they're down at sea level and milling around on the beach. Such a variety of
and their meat, the taste is very distinct.
It's so good.
Yeah, they're not just eating lichen or whatever.
Yeah.
They have a nice wide variety of diet. Yeah. But it's a very mild, very, very tender too. I mean, even a big, 120, 130 pound buck, full in the rut with a big old swollen neck still tastes like $1 million.
Do they get gamey if they're rutted up like that? Like some whitetails?
Only time we've ever had them be gamey is if you hit that. Well, if you watch any Meat Eater from the older days where he's doing a bunch of blacktail hunting in some of those episodes, you'll see him talk about that tarsal gland that's on the back legs, that big black gland on the inside of the knee there. If you nick that, and then you get that knife with that juice, that excretion in the meat, you will taste it.
Like ruined, or what? To some, maybe.
You will taste it.
Yeah. Huh, interesting.
You will probably want to cut it out. But I mean, if you shoot a buck anywhere near the rut, pick up that leg and smell it with the hide still on it, and you will smell exactly what it is. It kind of smells like anise.
Yeah. If the bucks are in the rut, you'll smell the buck. You'll smell the buck 100 yards away when they're in the rut.
Yeah.
If you're paying attention, you'll just be like, I smell a deer.
Yep.
Well, elk have that smell too. It's like a different smell. That's interesting. I've never heard anybody.
Yeah. Many times we have, any one of us in our group over the years has said, yeah, I smelled him, and then I blew on the call, and I walked 150 yards, and there he was. Yeah. Like a lot of times you'll smell him before you even see him. But it's a riot. You need to get in on that.
Yeah,
it's a blast.
I'm putting together a gun for it, so we'll see. So,
yeah.
Well, we get back to the road. I think it took 4 hours.
So what? It's like 3 a.m., 3:30 ish.
Yeah. So
right about sunrise.
I don't recall.
Close to it.
Yeah, and we were probably 20 miles from our camp. So, so we load up,
hitchhiking, catch a Colville truck headed south.
Well, luckily we made some points along the way and kept, so we made a straight line to the truck.
Make sure you pop out in the right spot.
Yeah, because you don't want to move laterally at all in the tussock. So, if you're off left or right, get to the road and then walk the road.
Yeah, but then which direction is the truck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so luckily
you come out on the bottom and you look up and the truck's in either spot.
Yeah, he paid.
I'll go this way, you go that way.
Paid pretty good attention on that and get to the truck and download and just like. We still had 3 days to hunt at that point, but it was like we wake up and we wake up. Like but then I remembered I dropped my tailgate and there's black ptarmigan laying there. I was like, man, I won't ever disrespect an animal. So it's like, well, first thing I got to do when we get back is take care of these guys. So, did that. But, so where we made camp, I'll back up a little bit. The first 2 days we went against our whole plan. I mean, you guys have done a ton of hunting together. I don't know how much like planning ahead of time you do. Does it ever, like, how often does it just work out? Because ours,
never.
Yeah.
Yeah, never.
So, because the plan was we were gonna, you stop at what's the town on the way? Coldfoot. You refuel, and it's like our plan was slow roll all the way to Prudhoe, refuel, come back, find a spot to camp, start hunting. Well, that goes out the window as soon as you start seeing animals. So I think we made 3 or 4 stalks that day, and he ended up taking the cow. And
did you run out of gas?
No, I
thought that's where that was going.
No, so I have an F-150 with the 2.7 in it, so it's like 6.7. Yeah, the Ego Boost. I'm not a tower. I got.
Wow. My wife has the 3.5, and I have the 5-liter.
Yeah. He was driving one with the 3.5. He got significantly less fuel miles.
There are also days where, I had...
What mileage do you get?
Up there, I was right at 20.
Okay.
So, not too bad.
That's what I got in my 1 ton.
Yeah.
Diesel.
So.
Usually I get about...
Yeah.
Highway, like driving to Anchorage and back, I usually get 20 plus.
We were running about the same when we went up there together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It wasn't bad. But, so the plan was that Saturday... slow roll. If we get a good opportunity, take the time to, make a stock. But I think that first cow that he took, it was, pretty much dark by the time we got done with that. So we, hastily made camp, not too far away.
Yeah.
Got up the next day and we're like, hey, let's make our way back to Prudhoe. And then it's like, oh, you're hunting all day, making stock. So that third day we made it a point, let's find a spot, let's set up camp because we're wet. Like we got to dry some gear. So I think what's the Seek Outside tent. Had one of those. I'd brought my Argali teepee that we had talked about. Didn't end up using it, but set up the teepee tent with the stove to dry gear. So we finally found a spot. There's all kinds of like little pull-offs and stuff, but there's all these groups at like little trailer park type things. So it was. So there's like a good patch of willows, and then
you mean Happy Valley?
Yeah, I think that was the name of it.
There's an airstrip there. Yeah.
So if you're going north, we parked on the left side.
Oh, okay.
So we pull in there, and there's like 4 camps in there. I think this was Monday, so we set up and everything, and it was cool. Like there was a group of trucks around, so we're like, pretty safe. So
trailer park, somebody walks out in their shorts and a wife beater.
Trailer park.
Y'all get anything?
Trailer park was on the other side of the road. So we pulled into that side first, and I'm just like, look, let's go to the other side. So we go over
side of the tracks.
The wrong side of the tracks. We go over there and find us a spot, and set up, get camped. We woke up the next morning, and this was interesting. Laying out his animal, we laid the quarters out. We found a pallet, laid them on the pallet so they got air under them, under the truck. And we left his truck parked there with all of our gear and we left the tents up. It was pretty convenient. Like that's the best part about that hunt is it's really low impact. You can set up, spike out, just drive in the day.
Yeah.
So we come back that night and, we're just checking on camp and looking and we notice one of his game bags is missing. And, there's people around us like that's really grimy, right? Like,
those dang neighbors from across the tracks.
You think like, again, do unto others, right? So that to me, I didn't think that someone could do that. So you started
looking for somebody else's caribou?
No, I mean everybody you saw had an antler rack on top of their vehicle, and so you're just like, who's that? But and I rationalized it by if maybe somebody's that hungry, like this could be their meat hunt for the year, so. We kind of chalked it up to we got 6 more days to hunt. We'll take another one. But it was just odd to me that somebody could do that. I just felt that it was just against the ethics of being a hunter. And,
especially up there, you run into different kind of guys up there.
Yeah, and everybody we talked to seemed like the nicest guys ever. And it was just sharing stories, talking to people, and hey, you seeing anything? And just sharing information. Like it's such a vast landscape. You're not giving up any spots.
Right.
So I was like, well, whatever. If somebody needed that bad, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And he kind of felt the same way. So we didn't think anything of it. Well, we get back with my, caribou, and I get it all taken care of. And I have one of the big Grizzly coolers, and it takes up the whole like rear of my bed. So I just laid the quarters like shank up along it, and then tarped over it with the skull at the back to kind of tint it.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of parked on an angle, so all the moisture would run out. Nice. It was a pretty good setup. So, by the time we get all that done, I get the ditch chickens, as I call them, taken care of. And we're thinking, if there's any bears around here, let's not just leave these carcasses right beside it, but there's meat here anyway. What can you do? So I went and threw them off in the woods, get them taken care of, and we finally get in the tent. It's like 5:30. So we're like, we wake up when we wake up. This is, we still have 3 full days. We both got an animal. So like now it's, trophy bull for him if we can find it, or maybe another, meat harvest. So at that, and I had no plans of shooting another animal. I couldn't be happier. So we go to bed. But 7:30 or so, I just happened to look at my watch and I hear trucks running, and somebody pulls off, and then I hear kind of like that aluminum sound, like your truck bed, and plastic, like kind of clanging. And thinking nothing of it, I get up, I click my headlamp on, I put my boots on, I put my pants on, I put my boots on, and then just throw a jacket on, and I walk out. I'm just looking around, not thinking of anything. It's like, well, let me go check my truck, because I heard noise, and I go out there, head's gone. And then like instantly my heart just kind of like sank, and I thought to myself, who would do that? It's not like there's meat on it. And by no means was it a trophy. I mean, to me, like much more than that. Like, first animal with a bow, like it was the most gut-wrenching feeling I've ever experienced, short of like a death in the family. Like it felt like I couldn't even describe it. So I run back to the tent. I'm like, hey, somebody stole my antlers. Like my head's gone. And he's like, what? I repeated myself, and then it just kind of hit me like, who would do that? Like, we got to get out of here at this point. Like, what is getting weird. And then, I call my wife and I tell her like what happened, and I like the faintest of tears. Like I'm pretty upset by this because not only did I just want to hang it on the wall, that's not what it's about, but it was just the symbol of it, and then just thinking, now that's grimy. Like I could get away with the quarter being missing, but the skull was just a whole nother thing to me. So, well, I gather myself. What can you do? I'm not going to go searching around camp for it. Later in the day, I might ask, hey, has anybody seen anything? Whatever. Well, I lay back down, obviously not sleeping. But I'm just like, well, I don't want to be a bother. I'll let him rest. And I hear a noise again. I was like, ballsy, right? That's awfully, daring of them. So no thought of clothes, no thought of anything. I'm in my boxers. I run out of the tent, and his truck's parked like, front end facing our tent, but it's like probably 10 or 12 feet that way. And then mine's another side. And I run out there, expecting to see some dude messing around the back of my truck. And I lock eyes with a grizzly bear. And I had never seen one in person, like outside of in a vehicle in Yellowstone. That's the first experience I've ever had with a bear. And I looked down at myself and I'm like, I'm in my underwear. And the thought wasn't, I don't have a gun, because that didn't even cross my mind at the time. I'm like, what do I do? I was like, and the weirdest thing, I had a couple fuel cans and then like the blue water jugs. I used it to kind of hold down the tarp. This bear has the fuel can in his mouth, trying to find a place to set it down as he's pawing underneath, like kind of at the meat. So I'm thinking, what do I do? And when I went out to look for the antler, or when I noticed the antlers were missing the first time, nothing was disturbed. It was perfect. And that was my thought, humans, because they would have had to lift it off, take it out, and then put it back the way it was. Well, I run back in the tent because I didn't know what to do. So I go back in. I was like, there's a bear in my truck. And he's still kind of asleep. And I was like, hey man, there's a bear in my truck. And he comes to, and he's like, grizzly bear? I was like, yes. Like, I'd never seen one before.
No, but polar bear.
I didn't know. So we started like looking at each other. Well, what time did we get back to camp? And it was 5 o'clock. Both of our pistols were where?
In the truck.
In my truck.
Where are your bows?
Both of our bows are in my, because we hunt out of my truck all week. So, and It was the worst happenstance, just because we get back, we're tired, we want to take care of the animals, make sure we're doing that, like I said, the reverence of hunting. Like, I want to make sure, the meat's preserved, those animals are taken care of. And at no time was it, hey, let's grab the pistols, take our bows in the tent, get to sleep. So what do you do?
Yeah.
So we get dressed,
start throwing rocks.
I didn't know what to do at that point. So, but we had both vehicles in between us and the bear, and there was other people around, like other camps around, but I didn't notice any other people. So, we both go back out, stay close. And then, if any movement, go back to the tent, but at least we had the trucks. So, him being he's been to Kodiak, he's more experienced with bears, goes up to the truck, and he has a revolver in his vehicle, but it's a personal protection, but better than nothing.
It's better than throwing rocks.
And this bear is like, he had seen us, he had to have.
Oh yeah.
But not paying any attention, not caring. He's hungry, he's going after the meat. So opens the door, gets the gun, he uses the bed as cover and just stands up and gets at one of those hay bears. He just looks up, sets the gas can down like a gentleman, right? and at that point I was like, he stole my antlers, because he played it. It's not like he dropped the can. He placed it back down, and ever so gently, just because his paws were his front paws were in the truck, and his hind legs were still on the ground. He was just leaning over the truck. So he kind of jumps down, and there's maybe a 100-yard square patch of willows, like, kind of 50 yards away from us. Leisurely strolls back into there. And then we look at each other like, that's the move. Like, me being a non-resident, I can't harvest a bear. And at no point in either one of those situations was it like, had we had pistols, like, not a DLP situation. Like,
sure.
We didn't feel in danger.
Yeah.
He's not damaging anything. And I didn't know the laws at the time, but I would never make that play. But, you can't protect your meat, of course.
Yeah.
So we're thinking,
you can if you have a tag.
He had a tag. So, yeah. But obviously it being an archery area. So, we discussed, like, let's gear up, let's go after this thing. He's living in those willows. So,
dude, what are you talking about? Have your buddy sit in the bed of his truck in a picnic chair.
Uh-huh.
Well, but
except that's shooting from a vehicle, so don't do that.
So the discussion then became, are my antlers in there?
Yeah.
So it kind of became a recovery mission. So we gear up, and obviously him in front, arrow knocked. I'm in the back with the G40 in my hand, and then rangefinder in the other, and we're like, front to back, like just one step at a time, walking through there, because visibility was pretty limited. I mean, I think 30-ish yards was because it was pretty scrubby.
Yeah.
So, he's got to be in there. That's the only real cover in this area. So we start making our way into there, and, it's step, kind of glass, step, glass. And I just feel a hand on my leg, and we stop, and I peek over him, and you see antler tops in the trees, like on the ground, like about 40 yards ahead of us moving. Bear's bedded there, gnawing on the skull. So we're just waiting to see how this plays out. Again, not even really concerned with us, knows we're there, looks right at us, walks away. So I'm like, okay, cool, we're going to get this back. So I was kind of at ease, but I was like, let's kill this bear. Because, I don't know much about them, but at the time I was like, if this bear's this, not bothered by people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And in this area, there's people coming through constantly like that. I don't want somebody to, end up being injured by or worse, killed by this bear. So let's try to get him. And I have no frame of reference on what's a decent bear, but it turned out to be like worth shooting with a bow bear. Let's just say that. So, but we never ended up getting, a good opportunity to shoot him. But, we go back and we start peeling through this willow thicket, and you ever seen the gray?
I've seen parts of it.
So at the end, when he's like that wolf den,
we
just start finding femur, jawbone, and like, I wonder how long this bear's been at this. So he makes a big loop, and then we ended up like, going about our day and going hunting, and he ends up coming back. Well, the crazy thing is, we get back at the end of the trip, and I'm at the store, talking to some people. A group that had hunted there a week prior, camped there in the same spot, had a similar run-in with this bear. Not as far as like taking meat, but same bear around the camp. And then a couple weeks goes by, someone else, that I ran into asked me about it week after we were there. So he's a resident bear there. I was like, man, how's this guy just living, surviving? So, yeah. So.
Because he hasn't met a bow hunter that can shoot 107 yards yet.
Yeah. Well, that would not be even a thought that would cross my mind, because that's a penetration issue for sure. Like, I don't.
That's a shot placement issue because
the penetration on a bear, not a problem.
Yeah.
But
even a grizzly,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not the skin really. It's just they're just soft animals.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's just about if you made a marginal shot, a bear is, especially in open country, is very likely going to go a lot farther before it decides to lay down. I mean, unless you get like a solid liver or gut shot and cut a lot of stuff, then they can get sick and go bed up. But still, they can go a long ways. And bears disappear in a hurry.
And they stop bleeding.
Yeah. Especially in the fall when they've got a bunch of fat on them. Yeah. And they don't bleed very well. But that's funny. That's funny.
Wish you guys got the bear.
Yeah, I kept waiting for that.
Yeah. I was like, you told me because you told me most of the caribou story. At some point, and you said you said something about there. I don't know if you mentioned a bear, but there was more to the story, and you had customers were trying to get your attention. So,
story of my life. But yeah, that bear, it was crazy to me that the week after we had hunted there, another month had passed. I talked to somebody that had running with the bear at the same campsite.
That's funny.
Because of course we let everybody know.
Oh yeah.
That was parked around us. Like, hey man, there's a very friendly grizzly bear that's in this area. Because people the strangest thing was it wasn't just hunters. Like there were just touristy people. There was a guy who'd ridden his bike all the way from like Vancouver area.
Yeah. Don't you just love those guys?
He was camped 5 yards from that willow patch too. And in his mind, once he got out of like Yukon and like northern BC, bears were not an issue.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh. He's like, they're this far up north? I mean, I had no frame of reference because when the first encounter after this all unfolded, I was like, where do these things live out like the winter?
Yeah.
Looking into it. Yeah, this guy from, Vancouver, I think is where he said he biked. His plan was to go all the way to Prudhoe on a bicycle. I mean, he was almost there at that point, but I was like, hey man, I don't know if I'd camp there. Because I was like, you're Canadian. You don't have a gun, do you? Obviously.
No.
So he's like, yeah, why would I need that? So, yeah.
No, the grizzly bears all the way up pretty much to the coast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you find those big dugout spots. Yeah. Like, I never came across it before, and I asked, I was like, and yeah, I mean, they're digging for a mouse or a grub or whatever. Yeah. They move a lot of
digging for ground squirrels.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Those things, ground squirrels have to taste like Snickers.
For them to do that much work?
For them to excavate a piece of ground twice the size of this desk for a little bitty ground squirrel and do it so aggressively.
Yeah.
And at some point, you'll watch them eat blueberries too, and they're just ripping off all the leaves and twigs and stuff. And they mow down some berries too, but it's starvation country. They have to work for every bite of meat they get.
There was a company we both worked for when we were teenagers, and we worked on the slope in Dead Horse a little bit for them.
Yeah.
And I think it was the winter previous I'd been up there before you worked with us. And I was with a couple of the different guys up there, just a laborer doing stupid stuff. And when I was up there, we were moving these 55-foot wide buildings out of town onto a pad that we had just out of town. And well, that next spring, my boss, the owner of the company, walks up to me in the shop. He goes, hey, you remember, and he names the name of the guy who was kind of that ran all our operations up there. Yeah, he was out in our yard looking for some part off of a chain that we'd left on one of those buildings when we were moving them or something. And he's like, this is in the springtime, so all the snowpack that just blows in between all these buildings and stuff. And he's walking along through one or looking, and Sal and 3 cubs or 2 cubs or something like that, grizzlies in Dead Horse had denned in the snowdrift in one of those buildings.
Just kind of dug it out.
Yeah, because it was one building, it was 110 feet long, but it was in 3 sections. And so the ends were just open to the weather. It was just a big old pipe shop that we moved. And so he's walking along and he just looks down and there's just and he sees the bear. And apparently he moved faster. He was a short, round fellow.
Is that the guy that was driving truck when we were up there?
No, he wasn't driving. He just oversaw the operation.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we ever worked.
Yeah, it was just the 2 guys with us.
Yeah, but anyway, he said he'd seen it move faster than ever seen it move before, and so everybody's he's running across the yard, and that sow and cub just came out and sat there looking at him. Anyway, that was another 100 miles north from where you were.
That's insane.
Least, yeah,
because I mean up that way there could where's the polar bear territory kind of start?
There,
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, there
right
is.
there.
There's big overlap. Yeah.
I've got a picture on my phone from somebody, I'm not going to name them, but somebody that was up caribou hunting up off the Hall Road. I think it was this fall. No, last fall when he was up there.
Okay.
Around Galbraith Lake.
I mean, that was 20 miles south of where I think we were.
Then he has videos of a polar bear.
Wow.
Yeah.
Walking around. And I'll show you to you. It ain't no small polar bear. It's a big boy.
No, polar bears are the biggest.
Yeah.
The biggest bears.
Yeah, because we were probably 20 miles south of Pump 2, I think, about where we were.
It was
and
a
then
big
the lake
polar
was
bear.
another, might even be about 40 miles.
Wow. Galbraith? Man.
A long ways south. Just a walking around the tundra, and it is huge.
I thought the polar bears were endangered.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I started looking into that. I'm glad you brought it up. And
it's just like elephants in Africa.
Well, because eventually there's going to be a problem. Well, you know what they're going to do if they can't get to the seals? They're going to do exactly that. They're just going to join us on land.
Exactly.
Caribou plenty, right? I mean,
yeah.
There's ample food source.
They can move. I mean, a polar bear can move. There's, I'm going to look this up because the story of how long a polar bear has swam.
Continuously swam.
And I think the current population, because I started looking into it once I started asking questions, and it's like estimated between 20 and 30,000 right now. So
it's a big number, and there's nothing wrong with the current population.
Save the polar bears, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you see the videos of people in the villages, even up here, and there's guys.
If a polar bear comes into a village, they're allowed to shoot them.
Yeah.
And they shoot them. I mean,
yeah.
I have a friend who's in one of the villages. I was up there working on his house in August. And he said shortly after he got up there, he's a missionary, the guy who he was there to help had left. And so he's there, new to Alaska, he's in the village, and somebody in the village, a polar bear came into town, and he's kind of out looking to see the polar bear, and somebody's like, hey, do you have a gun? So he gives them his Smith & Wesson 40. And the guy goes and shoots the polar bear, just like at bag dumps on the bear, and kills the bear. But that's what they do. A polar bear comes into town, the first person that get their hands on a gun and shoot it. Like I had one of the women that was in the church we were there on a Sunday was showing me, this was my first polar bear. She's, and
well, Fish and Game would come collect it at that, like you have to turn it in, right? I mean, it's not like
they're allowed to shoot them.
Interesting,
because they're native. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, in order to complete, like, what's the slam, like the 29 North America, like,
you have to go to Canada.
Yeah.
But you can't, like the import.
You can't import them,
right?
But you can shoot them in Canada.
My picture, So
they've swum 427 miles over 9 days straight. Is the farthest documented? Yeah,
400 miles.
Yeah, 9 days.
Wow.
Because Fairbanks to Prudhoe is like 290, something like that?
That's swimming.
No,
so they can swim that far.
Fairbanks to Prudhoe is 500-ish.
Yeah, it's like 490.
Yeah. I'm directionally changed.
Because the Dalton is 411 long.
Yeah, so Coldfoot's almost halfway, which is almost 250, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But still, I mean, most of the way to Fairbanks from Prudhoe.
Yeah.
In the water.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember seeing a story one time.
I guess that one wanted to get out of communist Russia.
I don't know, man. But yeah, no, I think.
Well, is the strait even that wide?
No, because you can see from St. Lawrence Island over to mainland Russia.
Revealing my lack of
geography. Yeah, that's not even 500 miles. That's not that far at all.
No.
Man,
I can't remember because I've been on the point over Point Hope. I've been all the way out on the point, the spit, which is really cool. The waves coming in and everything. And I can't remember if it was clear enough to see anything, but like you can see, even from there, I think you can see on a clear enough day a little bit of.
Well, 427 miles, that's farther than the park's highway is from Fairbanks to Anchorage. That's 355 miles?
Something like that.
Yeah. Under 400.
Yeah, couldn't imagine doing it on foot. No.
No.
Plop you in the ocean.
No. I couldn't imagine riding a bike that far, let alone swimming.
Anyway, we're gonna get some hate on this episode, maybe.
Oh, about the polar bears and the long bow shot. Hey, well, you know what?
Well, the polar bears, I mean. Or the long bow shot, maybe, too. Yeah.
Well,
Did you listen to the one of my buddy Hunter who shot the bear on the Parks Highway?
Yeah,
that one got some hate.
That one got some hate, yeah.
Well, I think I gave a pretty good disclaimer. Like
Oh yeah,
knowing.
100%.
Oh no, you did.
Yeah,
he did too.
Yeah,
and he even he was even like commenting on you. It's the YouTube was where we get the YouTube attracts the haters. I tell you, like everybody else just listens. It seems like, but YouTube anyway.
Shoot your bow, kids. Like,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Hammer and canes.
You know, it was funny. I heard you were talking about the release. I think I'm pretty sure my what's the spot hog? What is that? The
wise guy.
Yeah,
wise guy.
Kind of like the anodized purple. Like
Yep.
with the hook.
I think mine is. I think the wrist strap says Cam Haynes on it.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it does it because it has the boa clip on it.
Yeah.
Because I bought that one and then I didn't like it, and so Mariah wanted a new trigger release, and so I gave it to
and you
him.
wanted a CB radio, so we made a swap.
That's right.
Yep.
We swapped. I got a CB and he got a release. Yeah.
Yeah, mine has the buckle, not the boa.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like
it
the
works.
boa. Oh, it's a little loud. Like
The boa.
Yeah, if I have to, it just
like for in the bear bait.
yeah. If usually I try to do it ahead of time and everything, right? But sometimes I don't remember to pull it out of my pocket and stick it on.
Yeah. So I bought the Stan clicker index release.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. Like, I think the only ones I've been exposed to are like the UV button type.
Yeah. I have the original Ultra View hinge release, and since I'm not wearing a wire right now, I'm pretty sure. Yep. So
He is wearing a wireless wire. Yeah, he can talk and we can hear. This new audio system, like the quality is better in some ways, worse in some ways, but no headsets, no wires. I love it.
Yeah, or no microphone to lean.
Oh yeah,
into.
yeah. Well, when we get the new studio at some point, we might go with some nice mics, just because the audio, we can get a really superb audio quality that way. But.
So that's the one that I bought this summer.
Yeah, similar
Screaming
style
Eagle.
with the hook. Yeah,
But so here's the catch. So you can hook it, and I'll just hook it on this for a string. Okay, and while it's under tension, just listen real close. You hear that click, and you can reset it. I'll put it up to the mic. You can hear that click, and then as you apply pressure, then it goes off. It's like a mind reset.
It's like a 2-stage trigger on a rifle.
Similar to it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for the purpose of like keeping your shot in the moment, you know,
like the surprise of the shot process,
right? And they make a thumb button that's a clicker model as well, and that is my favorite index release that I've shot so far. It's got it's got a dual adjustable sear in it, and it's the closest thing to a rifle trigger that I've shot for an archery release. It's not a super light trigger, and you can only adjust it down so far in pull weight, but it's a very functional hunting release. And with the clicker, I can shoot it with a glove on. Because I don't have to wonder like how much pressure am I putting on here. When I hear that click, I know here I go. You know, this is I'm about to set this thing off. So I can still shoot it with a glove on. That I really like about this. So I shot the grizzly bear over our bait this spring. I was still shooting my Carter thumb button, and I've shot that for years now. And I love that release. But then I picked this one up this summer as kind of a backup, and then I started shooting it a bunch, and I got to the point where I'm shooting this one more than anything else now. And it's nice because it's just kind of always there. They make another one that has just a nylon strap instead of the hard body there.
Does it kind of hang?
Well, it tucks into your sleeve better.
Does that one lock back or no?
No, it only
Spot hog.
It only goes back.
I love that.
Far.
I can lock it back, run my sleeve over it, and it's out of my way.
That's the only downside of the hard body on this. But outside of that, it's a fantastic release, and it's really pretty affordable. I think it's only like 120 or 140 bucks. It's a lot cheaper than I thought it would have been, but it's got a really good trigger in it. some of the guys, like I said, I got really into the archery media consumption this summer. And so I saw several guys talking about it. And so I found one in town at Screaming Eagle and I bought it and I love it. It's a fun release to shoot, but I think it's easier to command a good shot with that than it is for me with a thumb button to command a good shot.
Like trying to punch a button.
Right. Kind of making a button go off, at least for me. And it might just be me. But to me, making a button go off by choice, I tend to shoot worse than making that go off because I've practiced both ways. Because obviously, when you're practicing in the yard, every shot, the goal is for everything to just break as a surprise. But with that, I get a little bit better shooting when I'm in control of it. And when I know, all right, here's my angle now. It has to go off right now.
Yep.
When I was shooting all the time with what's the style?
An index.
Yeah. I had an old one, and it had my grandfather had died when I was a teenager, and it was in something he had. It was I don't know if he even had a bow, but we were going through dressers, and he had a trailer, and we were cleaning up the property and stuff, and it was I believe the trigger just went straight back in the body, just slid in the body, and the tip of it was 2 rolling balls.
I had the same one when I was a kid.
Okay. and those 2 rolling balls would go together over the string, and you just pull that back, and it would there was a point where those released, and it actually worked very well.
It had like a bump out that was knurled, and your thumb rested against it, and like the body would come out.
Oh, so you would actually
those balls, right?
Something. Man, that
it was meant to
right.
kind of hold on to it with your thumb too.
Yeah, and
that sounds right. It's been years.
I
wonder if my dad still has that.
Yeah, my dad had the same one. I bet he would remember the name of it, but I'm drawing a blank.
Because I had started with one before that. I think that my dad had that I had tried. I didn't really like because it was just the clamp. Yeah, and so you pull it. And I don't think I really liked that one. I'm trying to remember. I remember using anyway, whichever one I got comfortable with. Maybe it was that one, the clamp one. But I shot all the time at one point, and yeah, I could just put the arrow on and go every time. I knew exactly where that arrow was going. And the problem now is then I didn't shoot for a while. And you try to do that when you hadn't shot for a while, and you just don't have that. Yeah, I was 50, 60 yards, just, 3-inch groups. And
yeah. Anymore, I mean, even just here where we are right now, the farthest I even shot with my compound this summer, because I did buy a new bow this summer.
What'd you buy?
The Lift X33.
Oh, okay.
And it's set at, I think it's at 70 right now. And I think I have the 65 to 75 mods or whatever they're called on there right now. And about 70 pounds. And I've got a relatively heavy arrow set up. I'm shooting Axis on that bow. I had been shooting Full Metal Jackets, but then I went up in draw weight with this bow, and I changed arrows because I could actually go up higher in weight with the Axis in that spine than I could the FMJ, and kind of realized that the Axis is a better shaft anyway for all around. And so I ended up, I don't remember exactly what my weight is right now, but it's on the higher side. It used to be like low 500 something. Now it's well over that. So anyway, it shoots great. But even the farthest that I've shot, even this summer, when I felt like I was really, really shooting good, I've never really shot past about 80. And I guess I've always just kind of felt that for me, I don't have a far enough practicing area to feel comfortable shooting farther than that at an animal. Now, if I got to the point where I can shoot over 100 yards, like we will be able to here real soon, hopefully, at the new yard, but maybe I could do something like that, but it'd take some practice. But I definitely don't hold it against you taking that shot. No. I mean, if you've practiced out to that distance and you've shot, super long bombs and you're good at it, And there's something else in the moment too. And I kind of noticed when you were telling your story about having the first bulls at like 85, where you had an opportunity that you could have shot and you didn't, and you were okay with that. There is a feeling that you get hunting, and you'll notice this the more that you hunt. There are some times where you feel like I should have been able to make that happen, but then you pass on it and you feel totally fine about it. But then later on, you'll start second guessing it and going, man, why didn't I do that? Like I've shot that far before, but in your gut, you know, something's not right. And when you override that feeling, it's almost always going to be something goes wrong. But when you have the feeling of, I know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
I'm in complete control of this. I'm confident. My nerves are calm. I've done this before. And it might be twice as far of a shot, like especially for like rifle hunting. You know, maybe you have practiced out to 500-600 yards, maybe even farther, right? But, you know, for most people, 500-600 yards is going to be a pretty long shot. And it would be for us too. Especially because I haven't shot that far in quite a while. You know, at least in the last year, I haven't. Well, no, that's not true. This last spring, you and I did some pretty long shooting. Yeah. But for the most part, I wouldn't want to go out and just say, I'm going to go shoot something at 600-700 yards.
We were shooting 1,000 yards, but we walked it in. We wouldn't.
Yeah. It wasn't like it was first round impacts. Yeah.
Somebody made that comparison, like one of my critiques, I guess. Like they were like, well, would you take a shot with a rifle at 1,000 yards? Like, well, it depends.
Yeah.
Like I have a checklist of criteria for archery and rifle shots. Like I haven't pulled the trigger on a rifle at an animal like in my entire life, technically speaking. Like I've shot whitetails with a muzzleloader, but you know, there's several key like down the checklist. Is the animal broadside? Is it stationary? What's my wind? Is my heart rate elevated?
What's my shooting position? What's my
the
impact
terrain,
velocity going to be?
All that,
all kinds of stuff.
At that, so like for the bow shot, you know, I'd been more nervous shooting a doe whitetail out of a stand. I don't know what calmness came over me in the moment. Like it's not even something I talked myself into. It just it felt kind of natural, and it was almost instinctive. Like when I broke the shot, because you know, like knowing how my pins were, like it was perfect that his antlers were on that 90 pin,
right?
Theoretically, so I could just move the 100 up and get that extra 10 yards,
right?
So it was the calmest process. But you know, had there been crosswind, if they weren't perfectly broadside, if there was any quartering away, that shortens that that vital area,
right?
And then had it been at an up angle or down angle, it was relatively level. You know, all the boxes were checked in that little 10-second window of me thinking about it.
Yeah.
And same with the rifle. You know, is the animal stationary? What's my wind? That's a bigger factor. But wind will push an arrow. I mean, if you shoot those distances. But you know, what's my cartridge? Like I have a 300 PRC. You know, if I'm prone on a tripod or on a bag, especially after doing that inner hunter shoot, like I think that was a humbling but empowering experience. You know, putting shots on steel at 800 yards off of a pack, you know, with a 140 grain, you know, 6.5 Creed, you know, it was empowering, but also know your limits, right? You know, there were stages where wind was different than, you know, 10 minutes ago, half a mile up the hill. It made it more difficult. So you realize those scenarios where you can take that shot or have and luckily I had the clarity to not take that one shot because, you know, you mentioning that, not taking that 85-yard shot. Well, one, they were standing at 85, but they were just circling. They were trying to catch that scent. I feel like not having a lot of experience with caribou behavior, period, but just, you know, animals in general, I could tell that's what they were doing. So they weren't just, you know, plop their broadside. There was a pretty significant crosswind. I mean, 10, 12 miles an hour. And at that distance, pushing you out of the vitals. You got to take that into consideration. Yeah. And the other thing to it, like I didn't mention at first, they were on the other side of that creek. Yeah. We talked about, I mean, hey, it's getting in the underwear and swimming across if we're recovering an animal. Yeah. But that was a consideration. So it's like, you know, we have time, you know, let down, don't take that shot. Yeah. But then, you know, moving into, I didn't feel the pressure of, I'm not going to get another opportunity. The boxes were checked. Yeah. And it was, I had shot that far. I mean, TAC's a really good event to go to because it's just outlandish shots.
It'd be a lot of fun to go do that.
There's some technical ones where it's small windows at 30, 40, 50 yards. But then there's, I think one of the archer influencers, I think it's Knock On, I think, was it? John Dudley. Yeah. They have the Sasquatch, the green Sasquatch. Oh, yeah. I want to say it was like 2 something. Like it was like right around 2. But I mean, this thing is 8 feet tall. So it might not have been, maybe 150 or something. And still, I can only dial to 100 because any further, like, you don't learn your limitation until you send one off the bottom of your sight housing. And that's a fun one. I did that once. Like your tip won't hit. I mean, but a broadhead would, of course. You got to pay attention to that. But your fletch vanes will hit your sight housing. And you'll see that arrow just kind of kick. And you're like, well,
yeah.
So, having been there, again, wouldn't advocate for it. And right. I wish I had more reinforcement or more doubt, one way or the other, because the end result was good, but there might have been a factor or two that I wasn't satisfied with.
Yeah.
And taking that into consideration, it might not be, something I would do again. But anyone that I've talked to since, it's like, if you can't shoot 60, you're really limited on your opportunity.
Right.
So but a guy that I'm really, close with, he's a trad bow shooter. He took 2 this year at, under 30. So it can be done.
Oh, yeah.
And I think back to the opportunities that we did have, throughout the week, on cows and, other groups of animals. If you just plop yourself down right in the middle of the tundra and just be stationary and wait, groups will walk by you and they don't care you're there, or they just truly don't see you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, while, like in that 30 minutes to an hour of waiting on my bull to, bed down and, us make a play, a group of probably 30 to 40 cows and calves, like, split us. Like, they were on either side. And I think the closest range I got, just trying to, like, lean up with my, like, 27. So you can do it.
Oh, yeah.
But, to get, maximize your opportunities, I think, 60 is a good benchmark. But again, shoot what you're comfortable to do.
Yeah.
That big bull I showed you a picture of, I think, of course, I wasn't caribou hunting and couldn't shoot them where I was at. But I saw those caribou where they were, and I was like, oh, those are some nice bulls. I'm going to stop. I got the scope out. I got the cameras out, taking pictures and stuff. And they'd start walking towards me. I think he walked within that bull, along with several others that were all very nice bulls, like 50 yards.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there. Yep. Like just moving my, carefully, and I finally decided I wanted to do something and got tired of sitting there and move on with the rest of the hunt. And, and then they all decide to, they move off a couple hundred yards this way and I'm walking past them and they move off a couple hundred yards. And then finally they just left the country. I never saw them again, but
being in that situation, I mean,
you just sit there
or not having a tag. It's almost like had you been intentionally hunting them, you're never going to.
It was a rifle area, and I could have shot that bull 150 times. I mean, it was just.
But this was on your sheep hunt, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So the mission was not.
Yeah.
You got to keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was just. Oh, I was looking for him on the way out. I was like, "Oh, this is going to turn into a caribou hunt, or maybe a moose hunt." Not too far away though.
Yeah, that's a.
There's a book that Mo and I read, written by Saxton Pope. Mm-hmm. And it's called Hunting with the Bow and Arrow, and we read this one just before we read the last Pinnell and Tallefson book. There's a lot about longbow hunting and ethics according to the 1920s of what bow hunting ethics were. And they talked about how animals are getting so scared of mankind because now we have high-powered rifles, which back then was a peep-sighted 30-06 or maybe a 270 later on into the 30s, but really an 06 with a peep sight. Maybe a few guys had a scope. There was a couple other cartridges around that they could shoot, but I mean, still, we're talking a couple hundred yards usually, maybe 300 if you're holding over.
Yeah, but was a 30-06 even a common hunting caliber in that era? Was it more?
What else were they shooting?
30-30, 45-70?
Yeah, there was a whole lot of old stuff by standards today with no great trajectories and certainly not.
I love my 30-30.
18 power scopes and I mean range finders.
Take a poke at 200 with a 30-30 though.
Like, I would with mine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
With his hand load, yes.
With my hand load, and I've shot that thing enough with the irons. I'd shoot deer at 200. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've done it, right?
What's that?
You've practiced it. So see, you answered your question.
Yeah. I put a lot of time in that, and then I tried to put a couple stalks on deer with it, and said, I need to get a scope because the problem.
Perfect point right there.
The problem came down to I'm shooting a dark animal on a dark background, and
the blur of
planes
of
I didn't have I was playing at straight irons.
Yeah.
And 200 yards at a range.
Mm-hmm. Dark sight, dark animal, dark background, even in easy shooting range. But it's conditions.
It's like, where's the animal? You can say, okay. And, trying to, because, man, I tried it and I finally switched out for the scope 300 short mag on that hunt. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, because at that point, I think I'd missed 2 or 3 animals, and it was getting hit to the point where he was like, dude,
that's right. I forgot.
He was like, dude, I'm going to start shooting everything because you're losing everything. I just wasn't, I was trying to make because it turned into a stalk, but now I've got a bay in between me and the animal and trying to, and it just was like, so then I was like, all right, I'm going to shoot the 300 short until I get some deer on the ground, then I'll switch back, and then,
Yeah.
And then once you're having success, it's just, you don't want to.
Yeah.
But then I went with a 6 arc, which I told you,
Yeah.
Now I'm switching to the next arc.
22, baby.
No. The next one after that.
338. Yeah,
yes,
we did.
Yeah. I'm going to that one.
Yeah. You guys love to bear bait.
Yeah.
Do that with name a better gun.
Yeah.
I've
got my first suppressor on order. I've got the barrel, everything, or a bunch of the parts for the gun on order, and receiver set and the barrel. And
which can did you end up going with?
I went with the Banish 46.
Nice dual. You could put
That's
it on
why
your
I bought
if
it.
you want to.
Right. It's big enough to go on the 338. I can put it on the 375.
Can you put end caps on that?
It does not have changeable swappable end caps, but from everything I've read and people I've talked to who have shot suppressed, it does, the actual bore size doesn't make that big of a difference in sound. Like, it can make a few decibels of difference, but the biggest thing that you run into, it's an 8-inch, almost 1 pound suppressor. So if I want to put something on my 6 arc at some point and I want to go a lot lighter, well, then I would go, we were talking about the Unknown Munitions.
Yeah.
They've got a new suppressor line that look really nice. Like a 30 cal from them would be a much more friendly option.
I got a Reaper in the cart right now.
Yeah.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm putting together that 22 arc build. So it's became much more of an expense than I thought at the time. Because at first it was find a company that makes an action with the arc bolt face. And there's plenty. But
because you're going bolt action.
Yeah, and that way I can hand load the arc up to closer to almost 22 Creedmoor performance.
What's that, almost 60,000 psi at that point?
62, 65.
Okay, yeah, because with
the
AR you're limited to 52.
Yeah, so depending on your case and every gun's different, but so I did the Zermatt TI, the TI3 I think it is, and then a 20-inch proof pre-fit for the Zermatt, and then the other hiccup was magazine and bottom metal, because if the goal for this gun is ultralight as possible, but in the terms of magazines, it's a 10-round magazine. Well, if I want to build if I'm going to take the expense to do a titanium action, I think it ended up being 18 or 19. If I hang a 10-round magazine off of it, it defeats that purpose.
Yeah.
So I stumbled across, I'd known of like Hawkins Precision.
I was just going to ask
being
if
out
you'd
of Colorado,
seen those. Yeah.
So Colorado Springs, it's funny that they're made there. Another company I used to work for, we sold their rings, and I'd known of their bottom metals, and I just happened to stumble across the ARC magazine for it on Unknown Munitions website. So 2 of those, and then I went to, there's a company out of Colorado that distributes the Hawkins, so I got their Hunter DBM. So it's a flush fit, 4-round ARC magazine. I actually got my stock yesterday. I did the MDT Carbon Black Friday sale. It was pretty slick. I got a good deal on it, but
that's when I bought all my AR parts and
man,
the suppressor. I did the Silencer Central had the buy a Banish suppressor, get a 22 suppressor.
There's all kinds of crazy deals,
and
like your tax
and
stamp
a free tax stamp, so
so all told, like I'm still kind of debating on scope that's going to go on that gun, because I got a couple laying around. I have a Mark IV 2.5 to 10, which, I mean, magnification wise, I don't think, that gun is going to be 650 ish. 2.5 to 10 is plenty. My only hiccup is it doesn't have a parallax adjustment, but knowing what I know now, like, I think people get in the weeds on that, but at 21 ounces with I have a Thunder Beast Ultra 7. So with the magazine loaded, suppressor, the Mark IV, I'm at I think it was like 8.25 ish. All in suppressor and scope. So because that's kind of the thought process, was that would be a sheep rifle when I decided to do that undertaking. But
sheep, deer, caribou, black bear, grizzly bear.
We'll see how successful I am, because I'm not spending top dollar on lightweight parts for the 338 ARC. And it wouldn't be a sheep rifle, or it could be, but that would be a different challenge in and of itself.
It'd be like,
but without a can and without a scope, I should be sub 5 pounds.
Wow.
Now I've got 11.5-inch barrel.
What range, like, does that? I mean,
I from what I've read, obviously I'm going to shoot and get an idea, maybe even do some gel testing, just because there's not a lot of guys that have done stuff with the 338 ARC. But 200 yards would be to hit an animal.
Set your bait yards. At 40. You're
we're there. Yeah. Well, I want to take it for deer.
Yeah.
I just want to kind of do the next thing. Like, I loved that 6 ARC, and I had an 18-inch barrel with a 2-inch compensator on it. And so I was like, okay, well, if I build an 11.5-inch with a big, it's a big, heavy 8-inch suppressor, but much, much lighter rifle overall, or pistol until I turn it into I think I'll probably get the SBR stamp so I can put a stock on it. But I think I just lighter, a little bit shorter barrel with an 8-inch suppressor. It won't be very much shorter, but that was kind of like, I want to run that around the woods with that thing. And maybe, and then I can take my 6 ARC upper.
Yeah, well,
on the hunt. That way, if I'm not running around the woods, and I might be somewhere, I'm gonna have, like, depending on what we're doing on the day for the day, and it might be a longer poke, I can throw the 6 ARC on there, and I'm good to 400 yards easy. So.
Oh, what an interesting idea!
Yeah,
I hadn't even thought about
just have it in the pack, like, kind of.
I could even,
or just have it at camp.
Just have it at camp. Yeah. I mean, I could put it. I mean, it would be with,
because at that point, we'll usually start out, and this is like what you asked earlier, like, how often does a plan come together? Deer hunting is the perfect example of that, because we always show up to camp and it's like, all right, we're going to go do this, we're going to hunt there, we're going to hunt there. We all get back to camp that night and it's like, did you see anything? Nope. Maybe one of us shot something, and it was like running through the woods, and we got a quick shot through the old growth, and we luckily got one. But then it's like, all right, where did we cover? What elevations were we at? Where can we eliminate that they are right now, or that they aren't right now?
Right.
So then tomorrow we're all going to go different elevations, or we're going to hunt lower, or whatever it is. And so if you end up going in the woods and they're not there, and then you start seeing them on the beach because you spend time cruising the beaches throughout mid-morning or early afternoon, then it becomes a beach hunt, which does happen.
A little bit more range.
So then you need a little more stretch.
400 or 500 yards.
Yeah. Well, the year, I don't think you were there. I think that was one of the years that you weren't there. Remy and I attempted the old 1, 2, 3 shoot. Didn't work. But that was like at 350, 375.
Well, first year I went back after not going for a while.
Yeah.
Our buddy shot one at 400, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Four and change. I think it was at 4.25. It was a poke.
Yeah.
It was quite a poke. But it can change a lot even through the hunt. Like, you could get there and it's 45 degrees.
But if it's prime rut and you're down in the bottoms busting brush, then the shorter, the lighter the rifle, the better.
Absolutely.
And that's where I started with the 6 ARC, and I was like, this is a game changer.
I just love that word.
But if I'm not worried, if I'm using the 6 ARC as a more of a long range, then I could just put that suppressor on the 6 ARC.
Yeah. And I hadn't thought about that. Bring in both
and
uppers.
I've got the quick detach from American Defense Manufacturing on my scope on the 6 ARC, and so I could. I think I'm just going to set the same that same quick detached mount on the 338 arc. So if I, for whatever reason, if I want to put less glass on the arc or whatever, I can do whatever I want. Switch
Very
uppers,
nice.
switch
Versatile.
glass. Yeah.
What bullets are you leaning towards for your 22 build?
Luckily, local guy did the research, right? I mean,
I was just gonna ask if you're going with the same one.
Well, is it the debate be 80 grain ELDX, 80 grain ELDM, and I think you depends on who you talk to, right?
Yeah.
The word M at the end of that word really is a hiccup for some people.
Well, it's not enough wallop.
Well, or it's the word match, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to shoot an animal with a match bullet. Well, I mean, I'm
It depends. Yeah.
An expert in this, but a lot of like the internet exists. There's a lot of very accomplished hunters and people that understand the ballistics of things and how a wound channel works. And luckily they've done this and harvested enough animals to where that ELDM's like, because I shoot two different ones so far. So the 147 and a 6.5, and then the 225 and the PRC. Like, I don't think there's an animal I wouldn't shoot with one of those. But seeing some of the results of the 80 grain ELDM out of a 22 arc, even at the pressure and velocity of a gas gun, loading it to a bolt, if I do the load of data like off of just Hornady's book, it'll be with the 20-inch barrel or 24-inch barrel, I think it's like 31 or 3150 with CFE 223. It might be a little less, but
out of a 20-inch barrel.
So 24. So subtract the 4 inches. So I mean, the lighter and less powder capacity case, it seems like you lose a little bit more per inch, because for the 300 PRC, for example, I have a 22-inch barrel. So I'm shooting the 225 right at 2700. Well, the box says 2750, and obviously take that for what it is, but you lose less velocity per inch of barrel on those larger cartridges.
Right.
So I'm thinking, maybe 3,000 on the dot is very attainable with hopefully a mild load. So, I mean, it should be pretty effective. I think
should get you out 500-600 yards, something like
6,
that.
for
Have
sure.
you considered any monolithics?
The only one I have is, well, you guys talk about the hammers a lot, but the copper rose, the McGuire.
From McGuire.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen a lot about those recently.
Phenomenal results. I think I think the 22 is a 61 or 60. I can't remember the 67.
I was looking at their bullets actually a couple days ago. Yeah, looks very interesting.
And if money were no object, I mean, I've thrown a lot at this build.
They are expensive,
almost cost prohibitive. But
yeah,
if you're a California resident, I couldn't think of anything better.
Isn't it like $2 a bullet? Something like that. I want to
say it was around
What's
there.
It called?
The McGuire.
It's McGuire Ballistics.
I think the Copper Rose is the name of the bullet.
Yep.
Great results from like a couple of the things that I've seen animals taken with them. But again,
do you follow them on their Instagram page? There's a guy that usually posts a lot about them. I'll show you his page when we're done here. He shoots a lot of stuff with those Copper Rose bullets. They do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, Mo and I have shot hammers now for a few years. We've shot them through
71 grain.
71. Yeah.
Yeah. We've shot them through enough different animals out of different cartridges that we know that we like the idea behind them.
$2 a bullet.
They shoot well for us. Terminal performance has always been good. But there are other options.
Yeah.
The what's the other one called that the same guy turned me on to him, the controlled fracturing Lehigh.
Yeah,
Lehigh makes,
I'm familiar with their pistol bullet, like the
they make a lot of. There's another one I was looking at the other day,
like the screwdriver looking pistol projectiles. Yeah.
So these are
extreme penetrator.
Those are from Lehigh too.
Yeah, these are also from Lehigh, but the other ones, the controlled chaos or like the controlled fracturing,
cutting edge, because cutting edge makes a bunch of monolithic stuff.
Yeah. But those ones, they do a similar thing from what I understand to like what the hammers do. I don't know who came first onto the scene. Mo and I kind of happened upon hammer at about the same time, started shooting them, started working with them. It's been great. We don't have any complaints from a terminal performance aspect at all. The results have been devastating.
Yeah. And I haven't had anything not shoot extremely accurately.
I think it's almost.
But there seem to be more options along that line of a massive, massive wound channel, lot of trauma right near the entrance, but also still getting penetration. Seems to be a lot of that popping up with the copper bullet market and kind of getting away from that high weight retention, holding onto the pedals and shooting all the way through. And if you find the bullet, it's 99% weight retention. All it lost was the blue tip type of Barnes motto for a copper bullet.
But the wound channel is 1.5 diameter generally, or a little bit bigger maybe.
Right. And there, I still think that there is a time and place for that.
Yeah.
I think there is. And I've still shot more bears, especially big bears with Barnes than anything else, just because I've had them longer. And I still shot the Barnes out of my H&H this spring guiding, this previous spring, because I took the H&H and I didn't have hammer hand loads loaded up for that. And this fall I took my Ruger, which I had hammer hand loads for. Guess what? All the bears are still just as dead.
Yeah.
But there is a difference in how much a bear tends to rock and roll when you hit them with a bullet that has an entrance wound that's that big versus that big. There's no denying that side of it. So that there is something to that shock and awe factor of a huge wound cavity. And obviously, the discussion as of how long has it been now? A year and a half that we've all kind of seen the continuation of the what the internet has called the small calibers debate, where the rise of the 6mm and now the 22s and using bullets that do that, even match bullets that are they punch above their weight class type of theory. There's no denying the results. They do work, but everybody's going to have a preference. If it works for you, then that's great. But I think there's never been a better time to be a tinkerer.
Yeah,
because there's all kinds of options out there, and
what use case too? I mean, from like your perspective as a guide. So like when you were with your family bear hunting, getting that bear anchored and not into the willows,
that's always the goal. Yeah,
you're throwing big chunks of copper at it, and penetration, and and you're not getting good vital shots after that first one.
No.
So it's get lead on target. So there's use cases for it, but use cases for it, and I think taking that initial you send a chunk of lead or copper through both of something's they're both their lungs. People get too bent out of shape about it. It's like the cartridge debate.
Yeah,
I'm not a hater by any means, but working a gun counter, I get a little frustrated sometimes because like I always say,
I'll bet.
Do you own a pager, right?
Yeah.
And I by no means am I a 30-06 hater or even 300 Win, but it's like if I already owned one, I'm not going to get rid of it to get something different. But me as a adult onset rifle owner, at 28 years old, would I buy a 100-year-old cartridge? Now that I've had a few, and it's nothing against them, but like if you're looking at a 300 Win, why not a 300 PRC? I don't think there's a wrong answer there, but buy the best thing available if it's an established thing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the dice
That's
roll.
the wrinkle, right? Especially in Alaska.
Yeah.
Because where do you live?
Yeah. Go to Stebbins and find a box of 300 PRC.
Exactly.
Nope.
Yep.
So I do get that debate.
Right.
But part of me is like, bring 2 boxes.
I did find
I joke. But.
Was that 416 Rigby I found in Point Hope? Was that what it was?
It was something crazy that shouldn't have been there. Yeah.
Well, I guarantee somebody in the village has it for the polar bears.
Yeah. Somebody has the polar bear rifle.
Yeah. Somebody's grandfather brought it up there or something. It's pretty common village to village to find where like an old white guy like came to the village, moved in, married a native, and settled down, and so like that might be where it came from. But there's a brand or two of I think it was 416 Rigby or something bigger.
One of them, yeah.
It was 300 something, 350 a box. Yeah, I was like, "Where's the ammo section? I got to find it because it's one store for everything, and it it's about the size of your house for the stores anyway." And I was like, "Oh, there's ammo." And I'm looking, I'm like, "Okay, yeah, everything's just a little bit more expensive than at home." And then I saw that, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
but the crazy part is somebody's going to kill him with a 40 Smith & Wesson.
Yep. Well, but somebody's got the gun and somebody wanted to buy it. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at Hammer has the. So what I have liked about the hammers, because I kind of got introduced to hammers right as I started reloading.
Yeah.
The first thing I ever reloaded was hammers. Actually, I don't know if I've ever reloaded anything but hammers. Is they, not all of their bullets, but most of the ones that I have shot move a little bit faster, easier. And we talked to, was it Steve we had? We've talked to about it, and it really, what we think it has to do with is the type of ring. It's a parabolic, what do they call it? The PDR ring?
Yeah,
parabolic. And so, instead of hard, and so there's a lot less drag on your rifling.
Yeah. Instead of having a 90-degree edge.
The best example is my 30-30. I have a 120 grain copper bullet going 2,800 feet per second out of my 20-inch 30-30.
That's 6.5 creed velocity.
It's fast.
Yeah.
It's fast.
Yeah, no, it's like 200 yards, no problem. The only thing limiting me, because I won't put a scope on that rifle, it's my grandpa's 30-30. The only thing limiting me, it's a JM stamp Marlin. There's a flex right there, right?
Yeah. I was just going to say.
I got a Ruger produced.
There's two things that guy's proud of, and that's his JM stamp Marlin and his Can-Am four-wheeler.
I heard about how big it was. I think that was one of the episodes that was the common theme. Yeah. That's how big his machine was over someone.
Was that one with Hunter on?
Yeah, I think that.
When he kept getting stuck and I just kept driving around him and pulling him out. Yeah.
Interesting note on the hammers though, like Weatherby.
Yes.
So a lot of their Select Plus line.
That's how we found them.
And the cool thing about, because traditionally monos tend to be, lighter for caliber. Some of those hammers seem to be heavier than like their TTSX counterpart. Or but also Weatherby and their Select Plus line, that's their factory ammo for it. They do their accuracy testing with it. Like and I don't, opinion aside, like some people have that, conception that, monos aren't as accurate. That hammer bullet.
It depends on the mono. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the 177 and a 7 PRC, I got to shoot that out of a 307 variant of something.
That's a rocket.
Deadly. Yeah.
I bet it is.
Yeah. I think it had a Hunt 26 chassis on it. It was a pretty slick little gun.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And yeah, I mean, I think they're cool. So I'm not going to marry myself to one projectile. Like I'm going to buy a box of each. I'm kind of married to the powder. Like there was an 8-pound jug of CFE 223. It was like, well, you better
last
like it.
A while.
Yeah.
So that's the hammer. It's an 80 grain.
Yeah.
You've got, what's your twist?
7.
Perfect. That's what they say. That's one thing with the heavier monos is you need that faster twist.
Yeah. And looking at the 22 Creed though, I think the factory accepted twist for that's 8.
Yeah, so my biggest thing with my short mag, the biggest thing I don't like about it is I'm a 1-11.
He's got the older Tika.
Yeah.
So like say that
same thing with my 300 mag.
Like have you?
You shot the terminal ascent.
I shot my Moose last year with the 200 grain.
And you haven't had any issues
out of a Win mag, but I have not shot it past 300 yards.
Yeah. So I just limited myself to a 168 from Hammer. And I'm 3150.
I thought you were north of 32.
No, I'm 3150.
Yeah.
Which is very flat. I think I'm 0
It punches a softball through a deer.
As kind of a max point blank, 250. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I haven't killed anything with it for a while just because I've been shooting with other stuff.
Yeah.
But
well, we have gone on quite a while. This is the longest one we've done. And
how long have we been going?
I think 2.5 plus.
Oh, wow.
It's been a while.
It's been a good one.
So anyway, we'll have to do this again.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of material.
Well, we didn't even get to.
No.
Yeah.
Didn't get to a lot of stuff here. So
sorry.
Well, we got some rifle builds in the works.
Yeah.
We
got to do some more of this.
There's all kinds of.
We're trying to do more like that rifle video we did of his. His Ruger 375, and I meant to bring my 6 ARC today, but I've been working 12 hours a day at work, and the only reason I have the recording gear is because I had to call my wife, and she made a special trip to get it to me.
So get out to the range with the Garmin. You get some ideas on that. Yeah.
So we'll do this again. Well, thanks for coming on, Nate. It's been a real pleasure. Folks, if you like the Great Alaska Hunting Podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and a positive written review on whatever platform you're listening to us on. If you're Spotify, then that's a comment. Apple, it's a review. There's 5 stars available on both. If you're on YouTube, then do the classic YouTuber and like and subscribe for more content like this and share it with a friend. Thanks everybody for listening. We hope that you are having a wonderful, warm December, unlike us sitting here in 30 below and listening to our trucks rattle in the driveway. So until the next episode, tread lightly, but don't tread well. Yeah.